Hey guys, welcome back to the How Did We Get Here podcast gang. We've got something a little different planned for tonight. Before we've been kind of doing the humorous challenges, with the hot stuff that we did, and then the Malort liquor challenge. We're going to do a different slant. Hopefully, it'll be humorous, and most important, it'll be entertaining. But tonight, we're going to talk about the paranormal. We have a special guest with us tonight, Kevin. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, thanks for having me on tonight, guys.
So when did your, first off, before I say anything, Kevin actually has done paranormal investigations with equipment, which I know nothing about, but you're going to mention that. You actually went with Thomas, right?
That's right, sure did, yeah.
So Kevin, when did your interest in the paranormal begin?
I think I've always been fascinated by just learning as much about everything. I first started out going into the paranormal research trying to discredit it. Going into it with trying to look at everything more analytical, more scientific. I've got a little bit of a mechanical background and knowledge. So
that's actually very humble. Kevin is actually a fabricator, someone who can weld. Well, when I say a fabricator, I mean someone who can build shit. Whatever you need, he can build shit. I can't build anything. I'm good with a computer. That's about it. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, thank you.
I'm being honest.
No, I went into it. People would say you'd hear footsteps in a building. I start looking at it saying, well, maybe it's a structural issue, something settling, temperature variations, whatever, and got us into trying to discredit and only discovering that there's a whole lot of things that we didn't understand going into it. We discovered that there's a whole lot more that goes on in our existence than most of us ever even are privy to. Most of us don't slow down enough to look for it.
Well, I'm so excited.
Well,
you're always excited.
Before anyone just immediately dismisses that, let me tell you that from a scientific background, the world's top physicists admit that the universe, that basically 97 to 98% of it is missing. That's what they call dark matter. So in other words, everything that exists in the universe, with even our top level scientists, they admit that there's shit in the universe that 97 to 98% of it is missing because it doesn't account for the gravitational pull of the galaxies and everything. So when you say that you go into a house or graveyard, wherever the paranormal is, and you go into it with the notion of, okay, I'm going to debunk this, and I get that. Then to come out of it after those investigations that you've done by saying, holy shit, there's a few things I can't explain. Well, you know what? You're in good company, because neither could Carl Sagan or all these other people. Now, granted, they were studying different things, but the universe, it's all all together.
It's all connected. Every bit of it is.
Absolutely.
It's energy, for one. That's basically it.
Which can never be created or destroyed.
Correct. And that was where I started realizing that there's more than we really ever see. I mean, we know the existence of ultraviolet light.
Sure.
You don't see it.
Not with our eyes, no, we can't see it.
But with special equipment, you can see those things.
Sure. And it can show you a lot of things you don't want to see.
And then I started thinking that a lot of ghost sightings that people would say they'd seen, like a phantom, specter or something, just all of a sudden show up in a hallway. And you always hear the old descriptions of it's a woman in a white dress or it's a flowing gown.
I heard that many times.
Okay, so that's descriptions that's been passed through history anytime someone says they see a ghost.
That's right.
So I started looking and was just researching. I'm always looking for something to do. Come across a thing about the aurora borealis.
Okay.
So I'm sitting watching it and seeing how the magnetic waves.
My first thought is, how in the world is a lady in a white dress going to equate to an aurora borealis? But go ahead,
so the aurora borealis we know is it's a solar magnetic deflection. It's a magnetic wave disruption.
That's right.
And we can prove that now.
That's right. Yeah.
So we now explain the science
with Earth's magnetic field. Yes.
Well, then I started thinking on a geological base, what is the core of our planet made of?
It's iron.
It's molten iron.
Yeah, molten iron.
Okay, so
it's
a ferrous material.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so ferrous material is magnetic.
By definition, absolutely.
Okay, so we know it's also moving and churning and going around. Well, in that same type of thought process, you look at the sun and we see solar flare eruptions.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's huge. The sun's magnetic field is the largest in the solar system.
Okay, so what happens if our iron core, which is going to have magnetic tendency because of the North and South Pole.
The Earth has a tremendous magnetic field.
You'll have blowouts through volcanic eruption, or you may have magnetic flares that will spin off of that ferrous core. based on the reaction that's in the core. So
Okay.
when you see now what people are seeing and describing as a woman in a flowing dress was nothing more than a flash of aurora borealis on a much smaller scale.
I could buy that quicker than I can buy a ghost, and I'm not trying to cut you off in the
No,
beginning. but-
absolutely, that's
No,
fine.
that's fine. And,
Okay, see, that's where my science started behind it.
I have to admit, I've never thought of that. I've never thought of localized magnetic field disruptions being mistaken for the paranormal, but I can absolutely see that's a logical
Well, I
presumption.
have thought about that.
Well, then there you go. See, another thing, Travis, another thing that you're better than me at.
Well, there you go.
We have to, yeah, they're very small. I
is
can
that
count I
one-
can count them on one finger.
Is
I
that
can
one or is
too,
that,
but I'm standing on. I'm standing on that
What'd you say,
ground.
Thomas?
is that one?
You just one. Yeah, I can count it on one finger. That right there. All right, go ahead.
So
Ken.
anyways, we invested in some equipment that would read magnetic wave, electromagnetic disruption, anything we could find and it's kind of considered a pseudoscience. So you really don't know
what the study of
these-
paranormal?
anything that you're studying that you don't have an answer for will fall into a pseudoscience. So therefore, it could be defined as a paranormal.
Okay,
But it doesn't necessarily have to be a past life thing. It just needs to be something that's not regularly studied or not truly understood.
That's right, like a fringe science.
It's a fringe science.
That's right.
Okay, or pseudoscience, however you want to look at it.
Well, that's basically the same definition. But
So,
yeah.
so I went into it with that premise. I
Okay.
wanted to understand more and more and more static electricity. If you get a whole bunch of, like the beanbag explodes,
Right.
and you got all these little styrofoam laying all over the place, sitting to stare at it, you'll watch them and they'll just start moving because of the static or that energy that
that's
energy's
right, like-
moving. So you'll see
like the
them
little
discharges.
styrofoam bean bags in like a beanbag chair.
Right.
Right. I get that.
The little beads. You'll see them move just because of the static electricity.
That's right, because it affects their attraction to the sides of the container.
So again, my head goes, okay, well, then if you're getting curtains movement or you're getting something moving, is it static electricity? Is it magnetic? I wanted to find a scientific, provable physical act to explain a paranormal. I wanted to prove that it was not real.
Okay, well, here's what I'm thinking with that. So far, what we've talked about is mistaking maybe like a lady in white or some other fuzzy figure that someone
Right.
might see in the peripheral vision or something, and and mistaking that for a localized aurora of some
Sure.
type. Okay, but that completely negates the intelligent control of that thing. And see, some people say that they interact, and some people say that there's no way that this thing comes to me and reacts, so forth.
Well, see, that's where I'm going to lead you on to it is
Okay,
in trying to do that.
okay. In trying to do what?
In trying to
specifically?
scientifically disprove the paranormal.
Okay.
We really physically got proven that there's something way more
Okay.
than our science can ever establish or understand.
Okay.
At least at this time in our scientific progression and technology.
All right. Got to stop you there. Then give me a small example of what you're talking about. That might come to mind in your own personal
Just
experience.
the first one, the one that was really just kind of blew everybody's mind. We were in a.
Who's we? Were you with Thomas? on this?
Thomas was with me on this one. We also had we had Jake with us.
Okay.
We had my son was with us. I had a former boss of mine that was with us.
Okay.
And, he was a huge Civil War fanatic. This happened to be one of the largest privately owned Civil War artifact museums in the country.
Where was it located?
It's in
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Yeah, that's right. It was in
probably-
Bardstown.
Bardstown.
I've been to it.
Bardstown.
I love
Bardstown,
that
okay.
museum.
Yes,
Okay.
and a lot of people don't realize that the building that it's in is actually the original town's water treatment plant, which was built on the original colonial roadbed, and the road that ends in their parking lot is like the oldest existing cobblestone road in our country.
Well, they have a big thing out back that has the
It has all the village, all these cabins and
I've walked
everything.
through it, Kevin. They still got the
water wheels and everything.
I'm
They
sure
have
it's not
everything.
original, but
So there's a little.
The village down below is all original buildings that
That's
they
what I was
moved
gonna ask.
onto site.
that's
if
right.
there was like a contemporary village there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so we get there because they're and I met them through another job I was doing in the medical field. Through
Did you
computer
go
stuff.
there at a request of them, or was it?
As a request of them, because I had got to know them through just talking on the phone and everything, and the lady who owned the place had asked me. She said, "Do you believe in ghosts? I need to ask you a question."
Okay.
And she asked me, and I was like, "You know what? This gives me a perfect opportunity to disprove the paranormal."
Okay.
Now we'd had a few little experiences and stuff, but I was like, we got to do this.
Now,
So,
did you have any paranormal investigative equipment at that time?
Yes, we had invested in several different pieces of equipment.
Okay, like what?
Well, Gauss meters that reads
Which measures magnetic
electromagnetic.
field, right?
we had set up, like laser grids where if you can flood a room with laser beams, if anything moves in those, you're going to see movement in the laser grids.
I understand that.
Infrared cameras, full spectrum cameras.
Okay.
Can you define the magnetic thing for me? Like in terms of what type of magnetism are you looking for?
Any.
Basically, any magnetic field disruption.
Okay.
The Earth has a natural magnetic plane that's
Yeah, sure it
standard.
does.
That's
That's
why
how
our
we use a
compasses and everything else
Compass,
work.
Yeah.
But it's
So-
going to pick up any fluctuations,
So
any
this will
localized
give
events.
localized fluctuation.
Okay.
And as we started, investigating stuff, we kind of found out that we could get intelligent responses. We would start asking questions. One for me, for the first time I got into a room, and it was one of these funny moments. I was so gung ho.
Let me
so
stop. I'm
prepped
sorry to
up.
interrupt, Kevin, but let
Yeah,
me
go
start.
ahead.
You said that they had requested that you come there.
Yes.
Had they
I'm
told
sorry.
you? That's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Had they told you why they had requested? What kind of stuff had they been experiencing?
They had been experiencing. They never really had anything more than saying they would hear voices, but they could not keep a janitorial staff at this museum because they would come in the mornings to open the museum up, and the vacuum cleaner would be laying in the middle of the museum running, and nobody be around.
So, in other words,
Because
the janitor opened the place.
the janitors would give them complaints of being grabbed or have the vacuum yanked out of their hands, or there was always something going on. Or a
Okay.
cage a glass display case would rattle right beside their head, and no one would stay.
Okay, that's great. All right, now continue with the equipment you were
So
talking
we
about.
get there late afternoon. They're closing up. We're going to stay through the night in there and see what we can find out.
Okay.
It's still broad daylight outside. We
Can
walk in.
I say something before you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to say, I can't believe that you've been to that museum. I've
Absolutely.
walked through that museum. There are artifacts in that museum from not just the Civil War, but
Right.
World War II,
There is.
World War I, Korea, and there's
Some very traumatic
some
artifacts
stuff
in
That's
there.
Well, is this-
exactly what I was leading.
Is this
to.
podcast about what Travis can't believe, or is it paranormal?
No, I never knew.
I'm just saying.
Is it the same thing?
It was that's funny. That's funny. No, it's
I'm just messing with you, man.
what you're saying, yeah. And in that
hurt
museum, to explain that, there's things like surgical kits from the Civil War.
There are.
There's personal effects like people's Bibles with bullets through them.
Okay.
There's a lot
In
of
that case, that
personal
Bible may
effects.
have worked, unless the bullet went all the way through the Bible.
Yeah, there was no survival with this one.
Okay. If you open up a Civil War Bible and there's a bullet halfway through it, that Bible worked.
That worked.
Okay, go ahead.
But no,
Kevin, sorry.
there's a lot of really personal effects in there.
There's
Okay.
doctors' utensils that they use to cut off limbs
Limbs
during
and
the war.
everything. Yes,
Well,
there's a taxidermied general's horse in
Yeah.
the place.
And I
You
can't.
know.
We all know that the horror that. We've read about it, obviously. The horror that, of amputations without anesthetic and all that stuff. I mean, first off, having your leg blown off by a cannonball is bad enough, but then someone coming along later and then sawing what's left of it off and
Oh,
then
man.
sealing it, and you're going through that agony, and then after that, you die of infection like 3 weeks later. So, why not just put a bullet in your head after your legs
Ain't
gone
got
through
no
it?
antibiotics.
That's my point.
Right.
Exactly.
So-
All right.
At least you get to watch the harboring of life when the maggots are falling off the end of your leg.
That's true. Maybe
But-
it has some scientific value, maybe.
They did.
Okay.
They actually introduced them because it kept eating the decaying flesh and leaving the other
Living
flesh
flesh.
to
maggots.
go. So
maggots to dress
they did
wounds
that.
to this day are being used.
and they're still using that.
That's
So
exactly
anyway,
because.
go on with your story.
but
Don't let
anyways,
Scott- don't
Yeah.
let Scott
Sorry
interrupt
about the maggots and the wound,
Yeah,
guys.
but anyways, the museum, like I said, it has a lot of personal effects in it. So we get there to start setting up equipment. We're meeting with the owners. We're in the front lobby, and immediately, we're not even starting running cables yet, and we can hear voices coming from other rooms of this museum that lead off of the lobby.
And everyone except you guys are gone.
And the owners, and we're still talking to them. They haven't even locked the doors and left yet. We've not even got equipment set out.
What kind of level of voices are you talking about? I mean,
Talking well enough that you can hear it sounds like two men having a conversation in the room beside you.
well, did the owner say that's what we're talking about? Or
They didn't have to. When everybody at the same time just turns and went, "Who's in here?"
Did they go? That's what we're talking about.
And they said, "Just help us out."
shit.
And so we immediately,
A reminder: this is
Yeah.
the first investigation we've ever been on.
the very
this
first.
was your
this-
first investigation.
This was this. Well, I guess we'd been around town for some
We'd been a
small
couple
ones,
small ones,
but this is the first road
yeah.
trip. This is official. This is
real deal.
We're going to do this. And,
Holy, and the moment you walk in, before everyone else, I mean, you already hear damn voices.
yeah, absolutely.
And they let you all stay overnight. They were running me out because it was closing time, and they left
Well-
you by yourself.
Well, they asked those people to come.
Yeah,
You-
they wanted
you
us
probably
there.
paid to go, right?
No, I got in free because
Oh,
I'm
well.
a veteran.
Oh,
Nice.
well, there you
Okay.
go. Well, you know what? You deserve that then.
Yeah.
Veterans, we appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely.
Anyway, go ahead.
But anyways, yeah. So we immediately take off into this room, and it turns out it's called the artillery room.
Okay.
So it has cannons from both the north and the south. These are all battlefield cannons, and I think there's probably 6 or 8 of them in that.
Yeah,
big
they're
room.
stationed around.
They're
Yeah.
stationed around, and it has all the implements, all the equipment, all the stuff, the uniforms, everything that would go with these people hanging in the cases around these cannons.
I bet that was amazing.
The moment you walked into that room, if you've ever walked into a room after someone has been in a real tense argument that's almost come to, fist flying,
Yeah.
you can walk into that room and you immediately feel that negative energy in the air.
Oh,
That's what I'm feeling right here. But anyway, go ahead.
you're welcome.
You ever experienced that?
Travis.
I'm experiencing it
you're
now.
experiencing
Travis,
now.
Travis, you're welcome.
Yeah, okay.
You should be used
Wow.
to it, really.
I am.
But so you can immediately feel a negative energy in that room.
Okay.
So immediately took a flashlight. People will say it can be debunked.
What time of day was this?
This was probably 6:30 in the afternoon, and it's still daylight outside.
Okay. Fall, summer,
It was late spring, late fall.
late fall. So
It was late fall because when we drove back
So when
in the
you're
worst
getting near-
snowstorm no,
That was Virginia.
That was
yeah,
Virginia.
that was Virginia.
okay.
But
Is it getting near dusk? Maybe. I mean, sun's about to go down.
yeah, the sun's about to go down,
Okay,
so
I'm
it's,
with you.
it's dusk.
Okay.
So the flashlight. Go back to
So,
it.
anyways, you set a flashlight up. Everybody, you can see it. I mean, everybody's seen it on any of the ghost adventure shows or ghost hunting shows, where you take a little mag light flashlight, you turn it on, and you just slightly turn the head till it turns off, and just lay it in the middle of the room.
Yeah, I think that's crap. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I thought so too, until you could make it turn on and off on a vocal command without ever touching it. The moment we saw that, the first thing that went through my mind, and I'm not going to lie about it, the first thing that went through my mind was, this is a hell of a lot cooler on TV.
Oh, in other words, because when you
Because
see
it's
it,
scary.
Because
I understand.
you're standing in a pitch black room surrounded by weapons of war that have seen it and have that kind of
and
negative
uniforms
energy
that people have died in.
and have that negative energy attached to all that, and you not only feel the negative energy, but basically by one question, that light hit me right square between the eyes when I said, "Do you want to talk to me?" Nothing happened. I said, "If you want me to leave this room, turn that light on." And the light hit me right between the eyes instantly.
So you ask it, do you want to talk to me? No response whatsoever.
Right. And when I said, "Do you want me to leave?" the light came on.
And that point is when your sphincter went, "Ree."
Amongst a
Now-
lot of other things.
And granted, the light is laying there.
It's laying on
It
the
could
floor.
have done anything at any other time. It could have flickered.
Sure.
It could have done a
anything.
lot.
but it didn't.
In
but
the
it-
light's defense, he pointed it toward his eyes because he didn't have to stand there with it in his eyes.
Well, when you lay them down in the dark and you're standing there and you're moving around trying to, fill everything out, you'll lose orientation of stuff. And I
Oh,
promise
yeah.
you, it
Yeah,
happens
I'm not
real
talking about
quick.
the light shining in his eyes. I'm talking just about
The action of
it
it
came
coming on.
I'm trying to be.
And
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, and
I
then
mean-
scientifically, I went right back into it and started thinking, okay, could it be some type of capacitance discharge, where
Yes.
the battery's self-recovery of voltage will build enough self-charge back up to arc that little microscopic gap that you have in the switch to make a temporary connection, because there is an attraction between metals when that
Sure
arc
there are.
tracks.
What
Absolutely.
were you in?
But why would it turn back off when I say, okay, if you want now to make sure I understand you, if you want me to leave this room, turn the light off, and the light immediately turned off.
I'm still,
Okay,
I'm
my
still
question
at
is,
coincidence.
Was anyone, well, I understand, was anyone in physical contact with the table, or were you guys completely away
No,
from
no,
it?
no. We're talking about like commercial grade Berber carpet, that style
Okay.
carpet,
All right,
throughout
gotcha.
a museum, like
Right.
you'd have in a library or whatever.
high traffic carpet.
High traffic carpet.
Right.
This flashlight is laying 8 feet from me in the middle of this floor.
Oh, it wasn't on the table, it was on the floor.
In the
Right.
floor, and nobody's walking around, nobody's moving, everybody is stationary,
And you're 8 feet, and you and the next closest person are at least 8 feet away from it.
8 feet away from it.
Shit. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what
Okay.
happens after that?
So that just progressed on for the rest of the night. We had shadows, we had light encounter. I mean, you could ask question after question after question, and it encountered. We think at that moment, was it 4 or 5 different spirits? One was a drummer boy.
Yeah, I remember the drummer boy.
How did you?
You
First off, how did you know a drummer boy?
You go through it's this question. You'll lay out a preface. After we started seeing responses, we said, well, we're just going to use this and see what it does.
North south.
Yeah.
What was the first question? Were you Yank or Reb?
Yeah. Did you fight for the North or did you fight for the South? Did you fight
Did
for
you
the
have
Union
a
and Confederacy?
predominance of one or the other?
No, we had about an equal mix of both.
Okay.
Actually.
Well, then I'm intrigued about this.
And through the list of questions as the night progressed, and mind you, we were there for several hours.
Okay.
I think we left there at maybe 4 a.m. to drive home.
Okay.
And so through the progression of the night and asking all these questions, it pretty much came down. We got intelligent responses from what at least tried to identify through questioning to be like 4 different people, 4 or 5 different people.
4 or 5 different entities that you think that you were in communication
That's
with.
by at least by the way they're answering questions, because some of them would answer faster, some would answer slower, some would play with the light. We'd have to tell them to stop, and they would turn it off.
Kevin, stop right there and just say, okay, Thomas, up to this point, because you were there too, what's your recollection up to this point?
Everything. Now, there were times when he was in a room by himself, and I was in a room maybe with Tyler or
whoever, Jake, or maybe
yeah.
whoever. We did that on
But
purpose too.
Yeah, we were conducting the same kind of.
Did you
test.
experience anything when you were alone that he did not?
Not only did a flashlight come on, but a flashlight moved at one time.
I've got to hear about that.
Well, I mean, it was
Yeah.
and the light in the room wasn't even off.
No,
Okay.
I remember.
I had a,
yeah,
I think I had a small light.
I remember you
on in
yelling
the
at
room.
me for that one.
Yeah.
And I
So
couldn't
I'm
run it.
laying in the floor, and I'm about 2 feet from the flashlight.
Okay.
And I'm asking questions.
Okay.
And it's one of those where you don't really know where to go next, and then you ask a question like, "Hey, I know this on and off thing is kind of easy for you. Can you move the light?"
Okay, so you tried to kick it up a notch.
I did kick it up a notch, and the light rolled about a half a turn.
After you said that?
Yes.
And you
So-
guys are in an enclosed room, no windows open or anything like that?
Absolutely
not. No.
Okay. And you swear on
and-
your life
and
you did
climate-
not touch that
I
light?
swear on my life.
And
Okay.
climate
Yeah.
control was off. We made
Yeah.
sure that
Okay,
the
so
climate
there was
control
no
was off. There was no
HVAC or anything.
ambient. It was still dead, stagnant air. There was no ambient air movement. We did that on purpose because we didn't want.
Now, were you with the room with him when this happened?
I was the next room over, and
okay.
when I heard him yell as loud as I've ever heard him yell in my life, "Get over here!"
Yeah.
So
It
who was with
started
you in
like
that
this.
room?
I was in there by myself.
Okay, go ahead.
I was
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
Kev. It just because it was taking my breath. 'Cause
Okay.
I was not ready.
Now, it was taking you just
but-
out of fear.
Just out of fear.
I
Yeah,
see.
and surprise, mostly fear.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I get it. I know.
Yeah, I wasn't ready.
So you can't verify his psychotic hallucinations.
That's right. Kevin
That
cannot.
particular movement, I cannot. But other things that we have witnessed together in other investigations, and I'm not going to. We investigated a home. This one was after we had done another one. And we'll get back into the.
Hold right there just a second, Kevin. Let me
Yes.
ask you this, Travis. How many times in your life, because you've known Thomas for quite a while, how many times have you known him to lie?
I've never known Thomas to lie.
There you go.
And I'm not saying he's lying now.
I understand.
I'm just saying it's real easy to imagine stuff when you want it to happen.
Oh, sure.
Well, I mean, he's not going to. Oh, you're okay. I see. You did say hallucination. You're saying that maybe the light didn't move, but he perceived it to move, and it wouldn't be a lie if he actually
I'm just
perceived
saying
it.
sometimes things happen and there's no explanation for it.
I get it. I
Hence
was
the term paranormal.
well. I was proceeding. I didn't think that you were. I mean, I thought that you were calling Thomas a liar. And
Well,
when
I was just checking to see if you were listening. to me.
I'm enthralled.
He's
Yeah, whatever.
listening.
I'm enthralled. No,
Go on with
No.
your next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
on,
so-
Kevin.
so
Yeah,
I-
Kentucky was great. Virginia was great.
Okay.
Virginia was great, and we'll go back and talk about Virginia because Virginia in itself.
Oh, we want to hear it, but go
had a
ahead with what you're
complete
saying.
list of things. But anyways, so I get called by a really dear friend of mine. He's ex-military,
Okay. Another veteran. Thank you, bud.
and he was absolutely. He thought he was losing his mind. He was going to the VA.
What's his first name?
His name's David,
David. Okay. Thank you for your service, David.
and he literally thought he was losing his mind. And he calls me and he's like, "Man, I just need to talk to you."
Okay.
Well, I said, "What's up, brother?" So he starts talking to me and telling me everything, and he says, that he keeps hearing the baby crying in the middle of the night. He keeps hearing voices and all this.
Does he have a baby in the family?
He does. He
Okay.
does. At this time, their little one was probably.
That was important to ask. I'm
4.
sorry. If
I
I'm
was
in a house with no
5.
baby and I hear a baby crying, some
That's-
shit's up.
that's-
I was
that's
gonna
a
say,
different feeling.
I thought he was like 2.5.
He might have been 2.5.
Yeah.
That's fine, but
I
he's
know
still,
that-
still a child.
And but anyways,
child.
so he'd hear the baby screaming in the middle of the night, jump out of bed, run into the baby's room. The baby's sound asleep, not making a sound.
Okay.
Not uncommon.
Not uncommon, but this was happening to them on a daily,
But the sound of a child crying
screaming.
was screaming.
waking them up screaming.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, and then it goes on to
Shit.
the point that they do wake up in the middle of the night, one night, hearing a baby scream, to find this toddler standing at the top of their basement stairs with his hand up over his head and his head down like he was sleepwalking.
Their
but
child.
yes, but like somebody was holding his arm. And when they saw him, they screamed. They said they started yelling his name
At
and
the
it
top
said-
of the stairs.
At the top of the stairs to the basement, and it's not nice stairs going
No,
into the
it's
basement.
more like a cellar.
It's a cellar.
Well, first
with
off,
a
how did the
dugout.
was the toddler so small that they couldn't get out of the crib by themselves?
The toddler should not have been able to open the door when it had a lock at a 5-foot level, and that lock was unlocked, and the door was open, and the kid was standing at the top step with someone holding his arm.
Yep.
Okay, I mean that. Yes,
this
I
is-
want to go there, but how did the child get out? Was the child in a crib to begin with?
You
Yes.
could have accidentally left it unlocked.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
I mean, that's a very.
But the baby's also the baby.
But the
he
baby
was
has to
older
get out
than
of
that.
his
He
crib
was. He was. I think he was about 5 because he had already been diagnosed.
Okay,
with
a
that
5-year-old
disorder
can
that
get
he
out of stuff. Okay,
That he has.
Okay, all right. So then, I mean,
Okay.
okay, so we've got a sleepwalking, stiff-armed, comatose toddler standing
At the top of
under
the
their own
staircase.
power, so
Yeah.
at the top of the stairs with an open door.
When they yell his name as loud as they can, his arm drops. He turns around and says, "Hi, mommy. How did I get here?" He has no idea how he got there.
How did you get here?
So we.
How did we get?
I'm sorry, that's a little
That's
plug
an
there.
intentional plug.
That's actually pretty good. There wasn't anything about that. But
Okay.
anyway, so when he's telling me this, and I said, and we had already done several investigations
Okay.
in different places at that point, and I said, David, listen, brother, I'm the man who goes into a dark room and talks to myself looking for stuff. I said, you're not crazy.
Okay.
We need to come up there to see what we can find.
And by we, you mean you, Thomas and your crew.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And that
and
night,
you're amateurs, right? We
yeah,
get it.
That night it was just me and you and my wife.
And this
I think
is
so.
and this
Yeah.
is after the Civil War thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This
2
is
years.
Yeah,
So-
this is several years
so
after the
So
fact.
the Scooby Doo gang gets together. They go up there
That's
and
right.
Hey,
Well,
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna
Scooby Doo
tell you-
gang. Daphne's hot.
I'm going to tell you this one. this
Daphne
one,
is hot.
This one took me and him both completely. I mean, knocked the wind out of our sails. I can tell you this encounter, and it was probably the roughest encounter on a paranormal level that I think anybody can have, short of an exorcism.
It's the one that got me out of it.
It's the one that made me stop doing
Hold
it
on,
as well.
you quit because of this?
Yes.
You quit doing paranormal investigations because of what you experienced on
Yes.
this particular
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because Kevin slimed you.
Haha.
You got yeah. That's funny.
I wish.
Holy shit! I
I
didn't even
wish
know
that's
that.
what it was, but
I just,
no.
I mean, I thought so you just got busy and you had
No,
to get.
no.
Oh, you got to tell us.
This
man.
was the calling card that made me and him both say, "To hell with this. We can't do this.
So
this
what
this is going to
happened?
kill us."
What
okay.
happened?
Interject anytime you want to add something.
Yeah, I'm just. It seems like we're jumping to the end.
I know we are, so we need to. But yeah,
Okay, well that's fine. That's
yeah.
fine. If we
'cause
are,
it's-
then we'll,
it is kind of rough. I mean, it's
Well, go ahead.
Well, no,
but-
we don't want to. We don't want to do the coup de grace
Well-
at this moment.
well. We'll go back. Let's go back and let's talk about the Virginia and then.
Tell me how
Cleveland.
your conviction.
Yeah, I had forgotten Cleveland completely until you said that.
Tell me how your conviction of okay, this is bullshit. To oh my God, we were actually tipping on something. That there's actually something going on. Tell me how that gradual progression occurred.
By when we got to our second one, I got hit for energy at the first one, and it scared the living crap out of me.
What do you mean hit for energy?
Okay, so you'll hear other investigators talk from time to time about like a spirit like running through them and pulling all of their energy.
Okay, yeah, like a entity passing through
It's-
their body.
To me, I'll think of it like a parasite. It's drawing your life energy away.
Okay,
okay.
to empower itself.
Yeah, to give itself a little bit more power for it to interact or whatever. I don't understand why.
Like a brain sucker.
Pretty bad. It was bad enough
Like
that
a
I'm standing
leech.
in a hallway and I'm trying to get back to where everybody is to wrap up equipment, and it felt like just ice went right back of my spine, right back of my head.
Like a brain sucker.
At the exact instance I felt that, it's like the whole room just started closing in. It's
Okay.
like everything started closing in around me. And
I'm
everything
sorry.
started
Where
getting
were you
busy.
at first when this occurred?
This was at that museum in a
Okay, so
Bardstown?
in Bardstown.
okay. I'm sorry. So we're back,
Yeah.
and you're continuing.
And this is the end of that was the end of this, and this is the first time that I got hit. What I say, hit for energy.
I get it. I
That
understand. what you're
made me
saying.
understand. Okay, we've not only just stepped into a world of shit to try to figure something out scientifically, and not only have we figured out something scientifically, I figured out that I can't understand any of this scientifically.
Okay, but I know you well enough to know that I don't.
My
think,
gears never stop
That's
turning.
what I'm saying. I don't think you'd be disappointed. I think at this point you'd be like, okay, I don't know what the
Oh,
fuck's
let me
going on,
tell
but
you.
I'm going to sink my teeth into it deeper
Let
now.
me tell you what, when you walk out of a place after having those kind of encounters, and you realize that you're okay.
Oh, right.
Then you have to start thinking on a different level. It changes your whole perception on how you have to think.
I love that. I love that.
For this reason, you walk into a haunted location, allegedly haunted location.
Sure.
You have encounters, intelligent, interactive encounters through the equipment. So you're
Questions,
getting actions and
flashlights,
everything
owning off. Okay.
to an entity or to something that you can't see. There's
Okay.
no physical way to prove that it's standing in front of you,
Okay.
except for the interaction you're getting on this equipment.
I understand.
And not only that, you could lay out multiple pieces of equipment and tell it to interact with which one, and you would get interactions on any of these equipment.
So sometimes you had maybe more than one flashlight.
Flashlight, a K2 meter, which reads a specific field of electromagnetic disruption, another milligauss meter that reads another broad spectrum of electromagnetic disruption.
And you would ask whatever you're talking to
Hey,
interact.
will you interact
specific-
with this box, or will you interact with this? And we had to phrase our
So
questions.
you point it because obviously someone that lived in the Civil War wouldn't have a clue what a K2 meter was.
And that's
Like
exactly-
the flashlights were different colors, so we could say red
Red or
flashlight,
blue.
blue.
I get it.
flashlight, Yeah.
Okay.
and we would say if you're going to twist the top of it, it would be like opening your canteen.
Oh,
That's
I get
how
it.
we would dictate it.
Okay.
Thinking, because I had to think like that. If these are people, if this is an intelligent entity or an energy of someone, they're not going to know what a flashlight is.
Sure,
They're
they
not-
dealt with
you know.
lanterns or candles. I get
Right.
that.
So,
I get that.
and you're talking about a twisting motion. The only thing they could have had that would have had a twist and pull or a twist and turn motion was canteen lids, corks,
Sure,
bottles.
I get that, and they were probably well equipped with those.
And
right.
even doorknobs back then
Sure.
was not like that.
That's
Most
right.
of them were push lever or something
That's
else.
right. Well, let me ask you this:
So,
when you're sitting there doing that, and you've got this interaction with these whatever they were, with these flashlights, did you ever have any? In other words, did a flashlight ever come on or react with one that you didn't ask a question? In other words, did you have any negative responses?
you would get some, but it was it was early on in the questioning. It's what it was so funny. It was like you would get the light
Or
would come
false
on and go
positives,
off.
I should
False
say.
positives.
Right.
You would get that. So at first we're like, well, this is not going to work. And then we start realizing as we questioned that it wasn't the fact that it wasn't working. It was the fact that whoever was trying to manipulate it didn't understand how to control it at that point. They were having to learn it.
Okay.
Then once all of a sudden it would quit, after they'd play with it for a few minutes, it would quit.
Okay.
Then you could start asking questions, and you would get on and off every time.
Right when you asked the question.
Right when you asked the
Seems like
question.
you got a
No
problem
delay.
with that, Travis.
I'm listening.
Okay. You
I think we may need
no,
to
no.
revamp and take somebody with us.
Well, I think so. I
would
absolutely
love
do.
to do something like
and
that.
I'll give you this one. I'll give you one
Okay.
more. Okay, so
Well, I was like,
you're-
you said you quit. Would you go back now?
I wouldn't go to that location. I would go to a different location.
and
Okay. again,
we would
haven't
do a
given that
scope,
location yet.
and I can tell you with the experience that we have had and the
Well,
I guess the paranormal knowledge that we've got. I don't know how you say this, psychological knowledge we have.
Yeah.
You walk into an area now, you feel more connected with it. You can tell if there's a negative energy there about the time you walk into it when you're burned with them a few times. And I think he'll agree with me. You walk into a room, you can tell if there's something there.
You're talking about being sensitive.
Being
to-
more sensitive to those energy changes.
Okay, which is maybe something that some people have. Some
People have
medium
more of an that
might be more
ability to it.
inherently sensitive.
No,
to
I don't
that.
believe that. I believe everybody has the ability to do it. Some people may be more sensitive,
More
and feel
attuned to it?
more, but
Okay.
I believe everybody will do it.
Okay.
Now, here's my question to you, being, and I know you're analytical on everything. All right, so
Analytical is that another word for asshole? Just checking.
so, do you agree that energy cannot be created nor can it be destroyed?
I agree.
Okay.
As far as we know so
As far as we
far
know
as
so
we
far,
know.
as far as our
Limits of our
understanding.
science.
But
say
that don't
that.
mean it's paranormal. That just means
No,
that's
but
what,
wait,
that's what
the
we know.
limits
But
of
that
our
was-
science.
But
That was his
here's my
question.
next question. Okay. how does the human body operate as far as physically and mentally moving everything is electrical discharges, correct?
Chemical electrical responses.
Bioelectrical or whatever
Yeah,
you want to say,
bioelectrical.
right?
That's correct.
So that is a form of energy.
Absolutely.
Energy cannot be created nor can it be destroyed. Just like a car battery, the acid in those batteries does not go bad when a battery shorts out or goes bad. It's those cells can no longer conduct that current.
That's right.
Okay, so our body passes on when our cells can no longer conduct the electrical current within us. Okay,
Yeah, but
so now
you are scratching the iceberg of so many different things with that. I mean, there's so many.
Let him finish. His
I am, but what
yeah,
I'm.
he is, but I want to hear it.
but
Okay.
so your
Okay.
energy, so
You're right.
your cells
I'll
can no
shut up.
longer carry it.
Right.
That energy has to go somewhere. It can't just sit dormant. It will not sit dormant. Energy will not be stopped. We know that through science and physics, everything. We know that.
We're talking about consciousness.
We're talking about everything.
We're talking
He's
about.
talking about the soul.
I'm
We're
talking about
a lot of things.
But I'm talking about you have that electrical energy in your body. It has to go somewhere. It doesn't discharge to the atmosphere.
But are we equating that electrical energy to both consciousness and a soul? Are we saying
Absolutely, because your brain, the consciousness that you have is all there because of electrical impulse. You're no different than a hard drive in a computer, so to speak, with the storage of and data of
what
magnetic
you
and
are.
electrical placement and discharge. That's what makes us who we are. That's every being in our planet has that type of energy and stuff going on.
And it's unique. Even identical twins have a different personality.
Absolutely, and different fingerprints.
It's
Sure.
So culminated.
Okay, so that energy has to
I like
has
that
to go
word, Travis.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so and we don't understand any other realm beyond our own. That's why we think we're the masters of our world. We're not.
Oh yeah. Well,
So this energy is going to be somewhere. Just because you can't see it, it could exist in a different field of spectrum, just like ultraviolet light does. It does not mean that it's dead. It means it no longer inhabits a human body, but it does not mean that it is now just a null and void positive charge or negative charge. We're a culmination of our energy, and our energies and our frequencies and our, of our bodies and beings are all resonant. They're all different. We know that. So with that being said, you have that frequency and energy resonance that's going to be stored somewhere. Some people call it heaven. Some people call it hell.
Okay.
And you can fall in on either spectrum of that. On electric, you can look at it from electricity. You look at it from a Nikola Tesla standpoint, and you can still prove that science also.
Are you well? Then I'm sorry, Trey. Go ahead with your question.
I want to bounce back to what stopped you because we bounced a lot here. But
Okay, go ahead.
the story where you're at the top of the stairs with the kid holding his hand up.
Yes.
I want you to tell the rest of that story.
Whoa! That's our coup de grace story,
listen,
correct?
This is a very dark, and
Yeah,
this is taking it to the
Yeah, we
far
can't go there
end
yet,
of
Travis.
the
I want to hear it too,
spectrum.
just as bad as you.
Yeah,
but I don't
we
think we
will.
want to go there yet.
Yeah, it's one that scarred me to this day. We will talk about it, and we'll bring it out here.
Well,
in
I'm
just
going
a
to tell you. I'm going to tell you what I think, and you already know what I think. But
moment. Go ahead. Yes, sure.
man, I have
They don't.
never seen anything that was out of this world
That's right.
in terms of what I could explain. And what I have seen is so minuscule that I wouldn't attribute it to anything that was a ghost.
Okay.
I've held seances that he was gonna hire a priest to come to the house after a seance that I held here and have him bless the house because he was afraid that the house was...
You didn't have any seance here,
Oh, yeah, I did.
motherfucker.
You've forgotten.
Well, I know you always claimed you were going to have. What fucking seance did you have here?
Well, it
You
doesn't
son of a
matter.
bitch.
So the thing about it is...
I don't think you're upset that you missed it.
Oh no,
No,
I'm upset that it occurred.
He went to bed because it occurred, and I was calling on Beelzebub and anything
Fuck
that
that
existed.
shit. No,
I can tell you right now.
I do not fuck with
listen,
fucking demons.
Well, I'll
Fuck
tell you
that.
right now, the walk we've had, and we'll get into this at the end of this. But
Well, I've never seen anything that convinced me of anything.
Go ahead.
Okay,
All right,
so
go ahead.
let's
Elaborate.
go
First
back.
off, fuck you for that damn seance. I didn't even know about
let's
it.
go back. We'll go back into the asylum.
Shit, now we'll
in
have to get a
Virginia.
priest.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get to this asylum in Virginia. So this is our second big paranormal investigation.
But the asylum in Virginia is not the one where you guys quit.
Nope.
No, this
Okay.
is not. This
Then-
is
then please
this was the
proceed.
second one that one of the biggest skeptics that we had to go along with us was Jake,
Okay.
because Jake absolutely did not believe one way at all about it. He was there.
But he dug me in with his family.
well, and we wanted him there because of his photojournalism experience.
Okay.
With the
because
military
Jake was
and
a
everything
reporter.
else.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted him there as a neutral observer.
Oh, so you basically brought him as the debunker.
We brought him at that point in time to be him.
Oh, I'm with you. Okay.
because he said it didn't exist.
Okay.
So he gets there.
But he was down to go.
And he was at the first one as well, and he saw some very interesting stuff that he could not explain,
I
and he would
understand.
admit that. Yeah, he couldn't explain
But
it
Jake's
away.
got a good head on his shoulders.
Very intelligent
Yes.
man,
He-
very
he
intelligent
is.
man.
Yeah, he is.
And so we get to this place, and we are by far the first people to investigate this. This place we had gone had been investigated by the Ghost Adventures team, by the Ghost Hunters team, by this had been investigated by pretty much everybody, hadn't it?
Okay. So did you go there then to this location of your own impetus, or did someone ask you to come?
We found out about it, and after the experience we had at the other one, we said, I want to call and see if we can get in here.
Okay. Now, how much time had it elapsed between the Civil War to now?
A year.
To
A
this?
year, basically a year.
About a year. Okay. And
Yeah.
you had been doing other investigations.
We had been
between-
doing other investigations
I
and
understand.
everything in that time as well. Anybody that had an issue going on could call us. We had had the number posted online. People would call all from all over the place.
I'm with you. In other words, but what I'm saying is, during that gap of a year, you had continued to investigate.
Oh yeah.
I understand.
Every chance we could get, we were investigating somewhere.
I know you guys were big time. I mean, you guys impressed me with your lay of equipment. You guys had.
We
You had,
had
you had some expenditures in that.
A lot of it is, you don't have as much money in it if you're just a technical guy and you know how to go around the behind stuff. I mean, a lot
Okay.
of it's security camera things. You can convert old camera lenses to full spectrum by removing one of the glass pane filters on the inside on the
Okay.
lens. I mean, there's a lot of little tricks you can do to save money.
Okay, so maybe not
But-
as much as I thought, but
No,
I get it.
but nevertheless, we had every piece of equipment that was pretty much used by anybody in the country for doing the same thing.
I understand. I've heard on Ghost Hunters. I've heard them use the K2 and the
Oh, yeah.
and the Gauss meters. Yeah.
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, and so we get there, and the weirdest stuff. It was so strange. So we get there, and we can't find any of the connectors
Connect. What do you mean? By
to connect all of our infrared and night vision cameras to our computer. They are not in the equipment box.
which you're absolutely sure you packed because it'd be stupid not to.
Absolutely sure. They were on the checklist even.
Okay.
We finished the entire investigation and are packing up to go home that night, and they're in the box. Once we're done with the investigation, they
Oh.
were not in the box prior to.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so that was the first really kind of weird as hell thing that had happened at this point.
Okay. I'm sorry. Now, where are you at exactly now?
Abingdon, Virginia.
Abington,
Radford, Virginia.
Radford, that's right. Yeah, Radford, Virginia.
Radford,
Bradford?
Virginia.
Radford.
Okay.
Yeah, not Abington, Radford.
At what
We could say
venue?
the name of the place, I'm
Oh,
sure.
that's-
I don't
yeah.
think anybody would say
What
anything negative
venue?
to it, but it's the St. Albans Asylum.
Okay.
St. Albans.
It's a public institution.
It is a public institution. It's still in use today, but not in that building. That
Okay.
building was condemned and closed down, I think, like in 1995 or 6.
Something like that. Yeah,
It
something
was late
around.
90s. They closed
Okay.
it. But this building was originally built as a boys' home during the Civil War.
It's like
Okay.
Freddy Krueger style.
Yes, it's an old,
I'm sorry.
old building.
And I don't think anyone in the world could ever fucking go to an asylum and not feel a little freaked
Oh, yeah.
out.
Well,
You know?
it wasn't, but when you listen to the history of the place and what
Well,
they
tell
talked
me
about,
about it.
it was it was a boys' home. Then it had become a hospital. Then it become
Maybe a school.
it was a school for a while, I
think.
believe, and then it went to being,
About what time was it built?
1840s.
Okay, right before Civil War, basically.
Yeah,
a few years
yeah,
before Civil War,
just
okay.
a few years before the Civil War. Monstrous, beautiful building construction. I mean, the architecture is
In
just
Radford,
absolutely
Virginia.
gorgeous.
Okay.
And anyways, on the back side of the property is the new modern hospital, and it is still a mental health hospital.
But
Okay.
not the building we were in.
But
Not
yeah,
the building you
the
guys-
building we
okay.
were in was condemned, shut down, and they used it for different things.
Oh, speaking of which,
Nevertheless, yeah, their fundraiser is not necessarily.
yeah,
the best
we were
idea.
there around March 15th, middle of March, something like that, and Valentine's Day had just ended.
Okay.
Right, so they
About a
were.
month, about a
they
month
had a fundraiser. They have Valentine or haunted Valentine's
a
house.
haunted house
to raise money.
They turned a haunted house into a haunted house for a Valentine fundraiser.
Oh,
and,
that- if you
and
could-
preserve the building.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're raising money. They did a haunted Valentine's tour. You know.
Well, that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's not fun to
It-
walk into a dark room in an asylum and there's a blood covered mannequin in the corner. I'm sorry.
Yes. and the worst thing,
Understand.
that mannequin was in a position in the room, and I guess this particular room had a couple entrances, so it got us 3 times.
The same mannequin.
The same mannequin
Oh,
would come around with.
and it didn't actually do anything. It just
No,
scared
it
the
was
shit out
just
of it.
standing there.
It was just standing there.
But-
and Kevin finally said, That's it. I've had enough of this. He grabs it and hides it in a closet.
So I've had enough of this damn thing. I pick it up and we'll put it
So
in the
I can see you
closet.
just walking, just like, huh, like
Yeah.
that what you're talking about.
Yeah, because
I wasn't ready.
The energy. I mean, you listen to the history of the place. It was so twisted, man. It's so demented.
Okay.
They did lobotomies there. They did hydrotherapy. They did electroshock therapy.
When I find out who invented the lobotomy, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind.
Right through the tree.
Very nice.
He's going to have to reach deep.
Go ahead, Kevin. I'm
But,
sorry.
It's going to be a little piece.
But anyways,
He's right.
As the investigation progressed in there, we walked through it, and the energy was so strong in the areas of paranormal activity that
You're talking about a personal perception of that.
personal
energy.
perception, you could feel it. The hair would stand up on your arms when you just walk into a certain area.
Was it a negative feeling or oppressive?
Both. No, both. Yeah, you had both. You had some that felt light. It was just a light, like playful energy. Some of it was so dark that you didn't want to walk into it.
Did you guys discuss that? Did you feel it too, Thomas?
Yeah, actually, and I think it was when Jake and I were in the basement. That was
You could feel.
The
Oh,
base
yeah.
and the basement
And, I mean,
was
you
where
know-
they did the hydro, electroshock, and
Yeah.
lobotomies. It was all done in the basement.
Okay.
yeah, and it could have just been because you're in a spooky hallway, right?
Oh, it's
So I
creepy,
mean,
okay.
I would almost lend to Travis this one. Spooky hallway, pitch black, and
Doors every 6
doors
feet.
everywhere. So
Well, what is it? What
we
is
were,
it
we
about
were
it?
we were setting ourselves up to get scared
That's
anyway.
what I'm
because this was
well,
a spooky place.
and you went there because other people have investigated
Right,
and found
absolutely.
shit.
And here's the thing: when we got done and we had all of our evidence, we wrote everything down that we'd encountered.
When you say you
Everybody.
got done, tell me what you did. Before
Oh,
you
it
got
was
done.
it was basic. You go into a room, you would start asking questions, and you would see how much information we could gather out of what kind of reactions we could get out of that room. Was it a man or was it a woman? Were they,
Do you feel confident that you got responses to answers to those questions?
Yes, for the simple fact that after the fact, we were given the answers that every other team there had gotten, and not that you didn't see on TV.
Yeah, so we had a tour. They said the folks that walked us around in the daylight, lights on in the building.
There's
said,
certain areas if you
Yeah.
step, you're going to go through 3
Yeah.
levels and fall to your
Yeah,
death.
you got to be careful.
So people had to guide you.
Yeah.
So you
They
get
want us
hurt.
to know
yeah.
where all the bad parts were, so
Sure,
we wouldn't get hurt.
that makes sense.
And so it was a really nice tour. They're like, this is this room specifically. This is where, they did this kind of
Yeah.
treatment.
Do you want to know anything that happens here? And we both said no.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Tell us nothing about any experiences in this building.
I get that because you wanted to be going there objective. With
We
a
wanted-
subjective
You wanted to
mind.
be genuine.
we wanted to go
Right.
in there and see what we could gather ourselves.
That's right. And then at post investigation, you could get whatever information
right.
you needed.
We
right?
didn't want to spoil our investigation.
That makes perfect sense.
Is this what convinced Jake?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who was
I didn't,
the
know, I didn't know Jake was convinced.
who was the voice that Amy heard over the
Becky.
Becky. That's right. Yeah.
And we found out after the fact that
You
this-
say a voice, was it like an EVP?
yeah. So
Yeah.
exactly, we had a little.
Explain what an EVP is.
EVP is electronic or electrical voice phenomenon.
Okay.
It's picked up on it can be picked up by digital voice recorders. It can be picked up on tape recorders.
That you don't necessarily hear
You're not
yourself.
going to hear yourself because it's in a different spectrum.
Okay, but now from what you said,
Well,
Amy did hear this.
Well,
because I had the
Yeah.
headset that
Yep.
would, I guess, pick up and relay it into audio that we could
Okay.
hear.
So
Okay,
a little mini amp. I'll explain the whole
okay.
setup to you. A little mini amp, headphone jack in one side, and a microphone jack to the other side.
Okay.
That little amp then processes
Which was
it.
part of your equipment you had.
Yes. Though that little microphone is what that we used for this specific investigation was one of the old suction cup microphones you'd stick on the back of an old telephone.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the receiver mics.
Right. Okay.
I understand.
Now they are not a voice microphone.
That's
you
correct.
You cannot speak to this. They only pick up the magnetic, disruption in the earpiece of the
I
old
know
telephones.
exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
So that microphone's perfect. You can't bump it against something and get one of the hard hits or the muffled sound or bounces like
That's
you
right.
get when you smack a microphone like this.
I understand.
So Amy's got it, and I told her, I said, you listen for anything in the background while we're asking these other questions.
Okay.
She steps into this hallway and immediately gets like this weird feeling, and she said, who's here with me? And immediately, clear as a bell, you heard a woman's voice say, Becky.
Was anyone else with Amy?
Yes.
Okay.
And so.
Did they hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
You could hear it because the microphone was loud.
Okay.
I mean, the way she kept the headphones cranked up.
And she actually felt like something was
Absolutely.
there, which is why she asked the question.
And then the rocking chair across from us started moving on its own.
Fuck me, what?
Yes, rocking
It
chair.
was
Right
it was a
there.
great little
like a breezeway.
breezeway, like a patio on the second floor.
Yep.
I think it was screened-in porch.
Yep.
I guess.
Oh, okay, so it was open to the elements.
No.
Oh, I thought it was a screened-in porch.
I remember it was sealed off because they had all that plastic up
Oh,
there.
that's right,
Because
yeah.
they were doing
Yeah.
renovations because
That's
you had
true.
water damage.
Okay, so it wasn't screwed, but it had plastic over the
Yeah,
top.
it was one of those glass
Was there a
breezeways.
possible hole in the
No,
plastic?
we looked because and the chair did not rock. It was a rocking chair, and it wasn't just going erratic. It would just all of a sudden it just rocked a couple of times and then stopped. That's it.
Okay.
It didn't just continue rocking.
Did anyone pose the question, Becky, are you rocking?
We asked. We didn't get any other vocal responses from Becky.
Becky just simply
But
said,
Becky would respond through either the movements of the chair or movements or make the flashlight come on or make a K2 meter move. We could get a few more responses with her.
did you have a particular feeling with Becky, like oppressing, happy?
I let Amy do the head of most of the investigation with that
Yeah?
because I felt safer that she wouldn't get anything dark, anything bad or negative.
Woman to
because-
woman, so to speak?
Because
Or girl to
we
girl?
found out after the fact, and I'll go ahead and say this about that that was called Becky. We found out after the fact that in the 1930s there was a young woman named Rebecca
Okay.
that had stayed in that room. We didn't know this until after the fact.
Okay.
And
Which is, again, you did that on purpose.
and she had a room upstairs, and she suffered from extreme Down syndrome.
Okay.
While she was in the care of the facility, she had been raped by a male patient there as well. Miscarried.
But she'd been raped by a male patient.
Patient.
Okay.
She
I mean, that doesn't make
miscarried.
it any less traumatic for her.
No, she miscarried, and the twisted
Oh,
part
shit, she
was
got pregnant because
she
of
got pregnant of this. And the staff at the hospital thought it would be less traumatic for her, and they let her keep the miscarried baby in a jar in her room.
Jesus Christ.
And the history shows this. The books and the lodges all show this now. But we had it in our interaction, at least vocally identified itself as Becky.
What time frame was it? I mean, when did this supposedly occur?
30s?
30s, he
Yeah.
said.
They thought it would be less traumatic for her to keep her
Miscarried baby.
stillborn miscarried
Yes.
child in a jar in her
Yes.
room than just to say it didn't exist.
And the staff, we found
Fuck.
out after the fact, the staff said that any man that went into Becky's room and tried to do paranormal investigation got attacked.
Got
They'd end
attacked?
They would get attacked. They would get scratches and everything. So, of course, we went in and
that
tried
probably
to-
came from her,
to
her
try it.
latent response from that fucking
Yeah,
rape.
right. Women could go in and investigate, never have a problem, and would get every answer they wanted. Man would go in there, they would just simply get attacked.
What kind of attack are we talking about?
Scratches, pushed, shoved.
Did you guys try that?
I don't know if we did or not.
Well, remember the closet when I sit down upstairs
Yeah.
outside? It's right across the room from where Becky's room was. There's a closet beside a bathroom that is affectionately known as the suicide bathroom.
Why?
7 people have committed suicide in that bathroom through the years of that operation of that place.
Were they male?
Male and female.
Male. I was wondering if it was male that were chased in there and Becky just fucking
And,
killed them.
but-
Not that I'd blame her.
So, and they said that any man that stood in that hallway upstairs or stayed in that area got attacked. So I said, right here, there was a doorway. The door was gone, and it was an old doorway under like a staircase piece,
Right.
little closet, little hall closet
Okay.
that literally is just wide enough for a folding chair to fit in.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a chair cubby hole, basically.
Right. Basically, is what it is. So,
Okay.
So I sat down in the
And
chair.
it's just a closet.
It's
correct?
all it is.
Okay.
Directly beside the suicide bathroom and directly across the hall from this young lady,
Becky's bedroom.
Becky's bedroom.
Becky and her
Yes.
stillborn mason jar child.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm just trying
But I know,
to paint
yeah.
the picture here. Yeah. Sorry,
But-
Becky.
But anyway, so I said, okay, I've got the walkie-talkie. Everybody else has got this. I've got the flashlight and the walkie. I said, everybody out.
You stayed in the suicide
And I decided
closet.
I was going to stay right there. I wanted to see what happened.
In the suicide closet or in the Becky's bedroom?
Beside the closet across from, so I've got this, I'm in the closet here. You got Becky's bedroom is to my left.
Okay.
And directly in front of me is the suicide bathroom.
Okay, so you weren't in the bathroom.
I'm in the little foyer hallway thing between there's 3
Okay.
rooms here.
I understand.
And there's 2 that used to be patient rooms in the bathroom and then that little closet. And that's
Okay.
it. So I sat down there and I said, okay, everybody go to ground zero. We're down in the very front lobby. That's down
that's
on
where
the
you
ground
went.
floor.
Yep.
Okay.
And because we didn't want anybody walking around. We wanted to make sure there was no sound
And
of
Jake's
anything.
goes downstairs. As well.
Everybody goes down. with
Okay,
him.
so you're the only one
I'm
up
the
there.
only one there.
That had to be kind of scary.
It got scary.
I didn't
Okay.
volunteer to do it.
It-
I did
it-
not.
Okay, you
yeah.
didn't volunteer. Okay.
No, because we at that
I don't
point.
think I would have done it. You want to stay in Mason Jar Becky's bathroom or bedroom, or do you want to stay in the suicide closet? How about I go to Ground Zero and you tell me about it?
My thirst for knowledge does not let me stop, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's
All right.
one of those that I had to do it. I could not. I had to see.
I get it. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
So I sit down in the chair, and I watch the guys go down the staircase. You can see the banister rails from where I'm at, and I watch them all go down.
So how physically far away from you were they going to be?
How far were you?
Because
man?
it was more than just like your regular kind of staircase.
Yeah, it wasn't a normal staircase. So you went down one flight to a landing, and then turned and went down another flight.
Yeah. So he was.
Okay, so you're not talking 15 feet away. You're talking a good ways away.
Oh, they're 60, 75 feet away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every bit of it.
And he's
All
on
right,
the
so you're talking. You're
and
talking,
I'm on the top level, and they're on the ground level.
So you're talking
so
butt pucker.
you're-
Butt pucker distance.
You're
Yes.
at ground zero. Everybody else is gone.
There you go.
Pretty
yeah,
much.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You're
That's
at
it.
suicide ground zero. Okay.
So I sit down in a chair.
Good point.
And I crossed my leg, and I had the flashlight laying there. And I said, all right, is everybody clear? Yep, everybody's clear. Everybody's at the ground. I said, okay, I'm going to go lights out.
Yeah.
I flipped the lights out. And you talking about total darkness.
Okay.
Complete. There's nothing. It's like being in the Lost Sea cave, when they turn the lights
I
out.
know exactly what you're talking. Dark.
Absolute darkness.
Dark. Okay.
Existence of no light.
Right. I understand.
And then I'm looking, and I can see the banister rail. And then all of a sudden, the banister rail just vanishes. It just goes away.
Well, how do you see the banister rail?
I can see the
darkness?
light from downstairs shining up the banister rail.
So that's
I can
not
s-
absolute darkness.
That's close.
It's close.
Okay.
You can see the shadow profile of it.
Okay.
It's
I'm with you.
absolute darkness when the shadow of the
Okay.
rail goes.
I
And
got you.
then-
Okay.
and then-
I'm just trying to clarify.
And then
Wait.
all of a sudden,
I'm not making fun of you.
No, no.
I'm just trying to mentally picture
the
this.
banister rail is gone.
Okay.
Cannot see anything. And about that time, there's a voice right here that says, "They're watching you."
Fuck that. What?
As soon as I hear that, my light comes on. Click. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay.
You hear in one ear. Ear.
I hear like it's lead right here on my shoulder, whispering into my ear.
They say they're watching
There,
you.
and then okay, so
Male,
I'm like-
female?
It was a female voice. So and then I turn the light off.
They're watching.
And I turn the light off, and I sit there for another second.
You didn't say.
and I'm
you say,
controlling-
don't you come up here right now?
No, not yet. I didn't.
Okay.
I'm getting to that point.
Okay.
And I turn the light off, and I sit there for another second, and then the same voice again. Can't you see them? And I flip the light back on immediately.
What light? You talking about flashlight?
My flashlight.
Okay.
And it's a bright flashlight. It's like a handheld Q beam. I mean, you could cook hot dogs on the end of this light. It's so hot. It's so
Okay.
bright.
Yeah, we're not talking about your local.
No.
You're talking about a save my ass light.
It's 4 D cell batteries with
Okay.
an LED head that's about 4 inches across.
I'm with you.
So anyways, the second time it does it, I flip the light on, and I immediately get on the walkie, and I'm like, anybody talking? Anybody say anything down there? No, we're good, man. Everything's clear or something. I can't remember exactly what was said.
Was anything recording this?
No.
Okay.
Because we couldn't get any of the equipment other than flashlights and walkies to work.
Okay.
Nothing else would come
That
on.
is a common problem with paranormal investigations,
The K2s, the handhelds would still
or a
work.
convenient one.
which people will say. You're right. In
I-
other
I
words,
would-
I get
I
it. I get
welcome-
that.
I
You can't
welcome-
argue that point.
Nope,
Yes.
nope. But I welcome anybody. But I'll tell you, if you go in to do a paranormal investigation, you better have an ironclad constitution of who you are and where you're going to be going when this life ends. Because if you don't, you are a magnet for the worst shit energy that exists in existence.
Okay, tell me after you said,
promise you
can't you
that.
see them? I got to know what happened after. Can't you see them?
So anyway, I turn the light back on. I turn the light back off. And about that time, it just felt like the door of that little closet just gets slammed.
It felt like or you heard it.
Well, it felt that way. It felt like the pressure changed, like the air and everything. Like if you slam a door in a room, you can feel that air
That's
pressure
right.
change.
Yes.
That's what it felt like.
Okay, but the door didn't move as far as you know.
There is no door on the frame anymore.
Oh, shit.
So it
door.
felt like that door got slammed,
So
but there
like
is no
s-
door there.
Like a spectral door being slammed.
So I flip my light on.
for like yeah.
I flip my light on, and I can't see the banister rail. My flashlight is not leaving the closet door frame where I'm sitting.
Something stopping it.
It's
Absorbing
just,
it?
It's just blackness. I can see that much of the beam of light with dust stirred up around me, and it goes into nothing.
So it was like a door was there, but it wasn't.
Yes. And it was absorbed. There was no reflectivity off of it. It was just
Okay.
absorbing the light.
I'm sorry, and you having knowledge of the physical parameters of the place, knowing that you know that's not right.
Well, I never turned the light back off.
I don't blame you.
I immediately got on the walkie and said, "Get up here now,
Yeah,
God, please get up here now."
That was going to be my next question. Yes,
And-
because it like a shadow being.
And we had already had enough encounters at that moment with different things that we did not freak out. We don't get freaked out or
Fuck that,
run
I
or
think I'd
jump.
freaked. Well, I probably wouldn't have been there to begin with. But go ahead.
It's like you kind of get numb to that. You don't get that adrenaline high. You don't get that fight or flight panic attack once you realize that you're the one that's asking them to interact with you.
True.
They are not purposely reaching out and trying to do anything to you.
And you are at their house.
I'm
so
in
to speak.
their home asking them to speak with me. So
Ask 'em to
whatever
interact.
encounter I get, I'm an idiot to be afraid of it because I ask for that encounter.
I understand.
So once you get that mindset, once you understand how, your mind changes when you do this. It makes you
Doesn't
think
the
that way.
thing ever cross your mind? Okay, what if I flip a spark into a powder keg?
Well, it's very, very easy to happen, but at that moment in time, we were too ignorant to realize that could happen that easy.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
That's just to say,
'Cause that's what I'd be
Let
thinking.
me ask you this. What was it about that whole scenario that brought Jake from a non-believer to a believer?
when Jake got hit for energy, the same way that I did at the first museum,
Okay.
Jake was standing against a wall.
And Jake's not a small guy.
No, Jake's a big guy, but like we said, he's an extremely analytical, extremely intelligent guy. He
is.
doesn't just look at something at face value and
That's
accept
right.
it. He wants to know it.
That's right.
And so we're standing in the hydrotherapy room, and this is
What do they mean by hydro? I mean, other than
hydrotherapy. if
some
you-
treatment by water.
Waterboarding.
basically waterboarding. Yeah, if you go look up when you
At
get
what
a
point in
chance.
time is water boy supposed to do you any good whatsoever?
I still
I think it's
question
supposed to deter you from being crazy.
Yeah,
And
it-
that was their mindset.
schizophrenia. People had
Yeah.
schizophrenia. Anything they
If
were
you act
diagnosed
like
in this way.
this is going to be this is the result.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's just asinine to me.
Well, of course it is.
It
Look
is
at-
now because we realize how much of a barbaric
Yeah.
act it was. But,
Okay.
but at that time, it was cutting edge science.
okay, it's like my fingernail hurts. Okay, here's some bamboo shoots underneath. It'll make you feel better.
There's a movie.
You know?
There's a movie out that Seth MacFarlane did. There's a movie out about living in the old west. I'm not going to say the name.
Oh,
or
I
anything in
got you.
case it goes,
I know what
but,
you're talking about.
And he literally mentions like primitive medicine.
Yes.
If you have if you got a bad headache, the doctor's like, "Oh, you need an ear nail. Put a nail in your ear, or have
Yeah.
or have a
I
cardinal.
understand what
Have
you're
a
talking
cardinal
about.
peck something out." But anyways, we're in that room and we're asking questions. It's probably midway through the investigation, getting closer to the end of it, and the responses started getting more slow and more delayed. So,
Okay.
So we're asking So at this point, we're comfortable enough with what we're doing.
How many hours we talked about?
Oh, probably 6-8 hours into it.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was
Okay.
late.
All
It
right,
was
so you're
late.
talking about, I mean, you're already past midnight, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
We're going on into the sun's coming up.
It's
here
the
soon.
wee hours of the morning. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we got down to the point of saying, hey, listen, if you can't communicate, if you're having a hard time getting enough energy to communicate, use one of us for energy.
You actually asked that question.
We asked that question, expecting it to be the one of us that's asking that question.
You or Thomas. Because you
And-
guys were
yeah.
the lead investigator?
And all of a sudden, Jake goes, huh, and hits the ground.
He falls?
He slides down the wall. He's
Yep.
leaned up against the wall with his feet out, and he slides down the wall and hits the ground and puts his hands down. And he goes, okay, what the hell just happened? What was
Holy-
that?
I mean, knowing Jake, he's not going to just fucking do that.
No,
no.
absolutely
No.
not.
Because he would stand there against the wall laughing all night long, and then I say like, "What the fuck are we doing here?"
Right.
Right. Okay.
No, it hit him. He slid down the wall. He looked at us and he goes, I can't say that I 100% believe, but what the hell was that?
Holy shit! That's
And,
that's almost enough to convince me.
Let me ask you a question. Was
Yes.
that the last paranormal house that he ever went to?
For Jake, yes, it was.
That was
Yeah, I
his
think so.
last one.
Jake never went back.
Holy. Well, I don't blame him.
I don't think so.
No, he didn't. Me and you
Would
handled
you
Cleveland.
welcome
We
that
handled
kind
the
of
rest of the
experience?
stuff.
I don't think
No, no.
that would ever happen to me.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, would you welcome that response?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I don't know that I would. I don't
It's-
I don't think I want to have that level of contact.
I can tell you that it was probably the most eye-opening, most humbling feeling that I've ever had in my life when you realize that everything that you think you know you don't know shit.
See, I love that. I absolutely love because you know
I
me,
know what I'm saying.
When do I quit learning?
You never stop learning.
That's exactly
And-
right.
And
I try to learn every freaking day, right?
see,
So
I'm still trying to, and I'm still working on theories. We'll get into that a lot later. But
sure.
I'm still working on literal scientific theories that can prove everything that we've encountered down to an exact science.
At the paranormal level you're referring to.
Yes,
Okay.
but proving paranormal exists through mathematical equations, scientific research, you can prove it.
You know, there's obviously this is kind of a different science, but it's along the same terms what we're talking about. There are theories about of the universe and so forth that says that time exists, that all both the past and the present all exist all at the same time. You know, and it's just different levels of dimensions and so forth. And that we'll get into that on some other podcast. We promise you.
That's physics. That ain't paranormal.
It's right. That's
You're right, but what I believe a lot of times
and I
stuff.
think that explains a lot of ghost phenomena.
Which is what he was talking about. You know,
It to me it does. To me, the paranormal and the physical world is exactly one and the same. It's just different realms of understanding that we have to encounter, interact, or see it.
That's right, and we can equate that to paranormal because, for instance, okay, let's say
Because you don't see it every day.
let's say
not normal.
let's say that there's beings, and we won't even have to say they're human. Let's say that there's other beings that live exactly in the same space and time that we do, but they're in different dimensions, right? So they
Right.
could be in the same space that we are,
Sure.
and we never perceive them, right? I think that's different than saying Grandpa that died 500 years ago or whatever, you know, great grandpa, whatever, you know, I see him back and I interact with him. But what if that energy just slips to another dimension? What if that is part of living?
Well, yeah, and I mean it goes into you want to talk, like cryptozoological is paranormal as well.
It's paranormal because it's beyond the normal. Yes,
And it goes into the same thing you're talking about there. Like, well, we're going to spin because
We
we're
are.
going to get into the wrong
And
theory.
that's-
Let's
those are
go
many
back
good-
to the kids standing
So let's go to
at
the
door
kids.
with
Well,
the
Yes.
we're getting to that one.
So-
yes. Good.
Yeah.
idea.
So-
Before that,
Yes.
Yeah.
we were called down to Cleveland,
Okay.
and
Cleveland, Tennessee.
Cleveland,
Yes.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get to this place, and it's a storage unit, and there's
Like a typical rental storage unit.
Yeah, a rental storage unit, but
it's,
there's an
it's got
apartment in
all
part
the-
of it for
yeah.
the keeper of the grounds to live in and secure the place.
So yeah, there's
okay.
there's
Not in
three
a
of the
particular- I'm sorry, go ahead.
three or four of the units have been converted to an apartment with I think 3 bedrooms,
Right,
a kitchen and a big office area.
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah, the reason they called us there is because there was a child that was about 4 or 5 years old. I get maybe 5 or 6,
Yeah,
but
yeah. He was still
doesn't really
very,
matter.
very young.
So he finally tells them, "Hey, I'm having problems." So they
The
fix
child
his,
told the parent.
yeah they
Yes.
fix his dinner and put it at the specific chair that he likes to sit in, so that he can watch the TV in the living room from the kitchen, from
Okay.
the dining room table.
Okay.
So one day he comes in and he sits across from where he normally sits, and he's facing a wall.
He's facing a wall. I thought
Yeah.
he wanted to watch television.
Yeah, that's what he did. They said, "Oh, your plate's over here." He goes, "Nope." They said, "Come on, your favorite show's on. Your food's over here." He goes, "No, I want to sit in this chair." "Well, why do you want to sit in that chair?" And he says, "Well,
How old is the kid?
5, 6,
5 maybe.
something
Yeah.
like that."
He's young.
Yeah, he says, "I don't want to be able to look down the hallway anymore."
Shit. Why?
So whatever it was, the kid could
He could see it or
he could
something.
see it or feel it or
did he? And he told his parents he was seeing
yeah
it?
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely did.
So when he said, "I'm not sitting in this chair," because not only could he see the television, but he could also see down the hallway towards the bedrooms. And
He said he don't want to see anymore.
"Yeah, I don't look down that hallway anymore."
What the fuck was he seeing?
That's a great question,
Yeah.
because Kevin and I were in his bedroom, and Kevin is standing across the room.
And you guys went to this location because the people there asked you to
They
come.
asked us to come.
They said,
Okay.
"Please come."
This was another. I
Yeah,
said, we
we've-
need help.
we've got a
we need
problem.
help.
They found your number or something. You said you published it and so forth.
Yeah, I don't
That's
remember
right.
how they got in touch with
All right,
us.
but you did say
exactly,
that your
but
number
yeah,
was public
It was
anyway.
at one
Yeah.
time. It
Okay.
absolutely was. Yep.
So yeah, Kevin is standing in front of a closet,
Okay.
and I'm standing just inside the bedroom door. And on the bed, they've got a family dog who hated us at first, but then we kind of won favor with the dog.
Okay.
So all is well. I think I'm holding a K2 meter
You're holding
in
a
my
K2
hand.
in your hand. Yep.
Which again, what does a K2 meter do?
Electromagnetic field disruption. It'll give you a spectrum from,
Okay.
and it'll show you when it hits different bars of how strong the electromagnetic field is.
And the
in
difference between that and the
immediate
Gauss meter is what?
It is a Gauss meter. It just does it on a much more sensitive scale. So
Oh,
it takes
okay.
very little,
Very minute
disruption
fluctuations that K2 would pick up at a
that will
Gauss
pick
meter.
up, and then the other Gauss meter will pick up the broader spectrum.
Okay. All right,
And
Thomas.
it emits a sound and lights.
beeps yeah.
It beeps, and I guess as the needle
Two
pegs.
green lights, an orange, a yellow light, orange, and then red.
Okay.
Red
So
tops
as
out.
I'm standing there, Kevin's across the room asking questions, and the dog is facing towards me.
Okay.
And this is when the dog starts growling. He becomes
Facing
gnarly.
at you, growling.
very unhappy, and I'm just standing there. Hey, puppy, I'm not doing anything
And this
weird.
dog looks like Cujo at this point.
Yeah.
All right,
Teeth
now, where were
going.
these people? Where were
They were in the kitchen.
Yep.
Okay,
They were
so
sitting
they're
at
in
the
this
table in the
building.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Kevin says, "Hey, Thomas, I don't know what you're doing,"
But quit fucking provoking the dog.
but that dog's getting ready to
Eat your
chew
ass.
you up.
Yeah, he's fixing to eat you alive,
Yeah.
brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I looked down at the dog. I noticed he was growling, but we'd already won favor.
The dog
We
was
weren't
fine.
doing anything.
Did you holler at people, get your fucking dog?
No. Oh, no.
Because when I looked down at the dog, I was like, "Well, that's weird, Kevin. He's not looking at me. It's like he's looking right here." And I pointed over my shoulder.
Fuck.
And as soon as I did that, I mean, we've all been cut. I've broken a few bones. I've gotten stitches
Yeah.
from really bad cuts. And this was so much worse than any of that.
Well, you guys have. I've never had a broken bone. I'm,
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty stout.
So it felt like someone took
I'm kidding.
what I can only imagine, maybe ice pick
Ice
or
pick,
something,
yeah. That's how you
coming
described it.
from my back out through the center of my chest.
You felt that.
Oh yeah.
He almost collapsed on the bed.
Oh, it hurt, man.
I mean, he literally just like,
and as soon as it wasn't fast. It was really slow passing through my body.
Yes.
And as soon as it started coming out the front of my
How could
of
you
my
sit
chest-
still with that sensation?
oh, you don't
was
have
it
time to
pretty-
move.
pretty
You're
quick?
frozen.
Yeah, it was
I
like-
mean,
Yeah. So as soon as it started coming through, my K2 meter just went from nothing to
pegged.
pegged out at red, a high pitch.
All right,
pegged.
so do you drop that and ran like a little bitch?
Nope, I stood right
That's
there.
what I would've done.
And watched and felt it
You can't.
finished, and I knew it was no longer in
can't.
me, but I knew it was close, whatever it was,
Right.
Because it's still pegged out.
Did the dog's face follow what was
It
happening?
Oh, you absolutely did.
So as it's coming through, the dog's head is turning.
And the dog's
And-
still growling,
and
still
then
snarling.
My gauge drops off, but the dog is now turned and is walking across the bed growling. It gets it between that bed and another one.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Kevin, you better be careful. It's coming for you. And that dog is coming at Kevin growling and looking and
You guys were
looking.
the only two back there. The family
Yes.
was in the
Right.
other
Yeah,
room.
we were the two. We were the only two there.
Okay.
So the dog stops in front of Kevin and growling, and then Kevin's gauge goes off.
What?
Pegged
Yes.
out.
Did you
Absolutely.
get a? It say from the.
I didn't get the same stab. I did get a cold hit, but it didn't hit me with the same energy. It was really, for whatever reason, it was really ticked off at him.
Now, okay.
I don't know why.
Now, were you asking any questions, or were you just standing there?
I'm
with-
sure
we were kind of
we
provoking.
were.
We were
Yeah.
kind of provoking.
I
at
can't
that
even
point.
remember.
I remember we got a little bit. We got a little bit big for our britches, if you want to say it like that. To
No,
a certain point.
well, I guess
And
sometimes to
actually
elicit
started-
responses.
Well, I actually
Yeah.
started pushing and provoking a lot harder than I should have in a lot of cases.
Okay. What do you
And,
mean by that? I mean,
uh,
you just did that-
taunting.
Yeah.
Taunting. Okay.
Taunting the energy. If you've really got anything, you think you got any power right here, then by God, here I am. Do something to me.
Okay, because you tried simple like questions. Are you here? And you didn't get any responses. I
Right.
assume.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kevin gets hit, and
Yeah.
the dog's growling goes down and around Kevin.
walks
and
past me. While
walks
still
past
growling.
Kevin, and as the energy flows through Kevin,
Yeah.
the dog is now following it into a closet and just growling, and whatever it was disappeared, and then the dog was fine.
The dog just stops, turns
Tail.
around, tail starts wagging, comes right
Yeah.
back to us.
Hold it. You say into the closet. Was the closet door closed?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, 'cause we opened it.
Yeah,
So okay. So basically, he just followed something invisible.
whatever it was, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
into the door of the closet.
Yeah.
Then after a second or two, he simply walks away like, "Hey,
That's
no big
exactly
deal."
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was fine.
absolutely did.
Okay, so obviously you told those people that this occurred to you. What happened?
You know, I can't.
I think what we started asking them, because it's a storage unit
Right.
facility, many garages there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, maybe 100 units.
Oh, sure.
at
And you know what
least.
freaks me out about that? anytime that people rent those storage units, and this is nothing.
I think
against
I know where you're
storage-
going. Yeah,
that's right.
A lot of
I mean,
abandonment of material and stuff.
well,
and
you
just
could-
personal belongings
Antiques.
and
you
things.
or that, or you could just you murder somebody and stick them in a freaking.
oh, well, of course, yeah.
Man,
And-
there's been limbs.
Silence of the Lambs.
That's
vibes,
you know that's right. Was it was name Bill? Not Billy Bob. What was it called?
I can't
Cowboy
remember.
Bob or whatever.
Cowboy
Yeah.
Bob.
Wild
Yeah.
Bill.
But yeah, I mean that's right. I mean think about that. You could freaking straight up murder somebody and stick their corpse in a storage unit.
Yeah.
You know.
So we
Yeah.
ask them, do any of these units ever go, delinquent?
Okay.
And if so, what do you do with them? They say, well, sometimes we have auctions, sometimes we open them and just go through the stuff.
Right.
Okay. Do you have
Yep.
any of that stuff in here? Any of it like
Yes.
you think is really, really old? They're like, yeah, we
You gotta
do.
get rid of that shit.
Yeah. So Kevin, I said, first thing you need to do, throw it away. Just throw it away.
Yeah.
Get rid of
Get
it.
rid
Yeah.
of it. Don't try to put it somewhere else.
'Cause
Don't try to store it.
You
Get
believe
rid
that
of it.
energy could be connected to tangible
Well,
devices?
of course it can.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it be?
Well, I mean, I can't refute that point because
Magnetic
we're
energy-
talking about a level of science that I don't understand.
Magnets, was it neodymium?
Rare earth
No, I'm
magnet.
not saying it correctly,
that's
but
fine.
rare earth
Oh,
magnets.
no, you're
that-
definitely not saying it correctly.
I know I'm not. Will it attracts the ferrous materials,
It does because it's
And you can't-
ferrous means magnetic.
And you-
Actually, ferrous means contains iron.
and you can't
Fe.
see the magnetic attraction. You can't see those waves of energy.
No, you cannot.
But
Not unless
yet
you
it-
drop
but-
iron filings.
But yet there's, and the existence of everything.
I had
in
those
the,
willy whisker things when I was a kid. I'm sorry.
I was the guy that would cut them open to see what I could do with the metal filings.
I don't doubt that in my
Hey,
mind.
let's get on to the house.
Okay.
First,
Because,
okay. So
because
what happened to the kid then?
Well, they
You-
got rid of the artifacts that we told them to get rid of, and everything stopped.
yeah,
We never heard another word from them.
yeah. Either they were really upset with our performance, or everything got better. We don't know.
Okay.
Either they said we're never
I guess-
calling those guys again because they
guess-
suck,
If first off, or what?
or it worked.
Well,
or-
I guess what I'm saying is
we got good at being at walking a fine line of existence. We got really good at
I
it.
guess I'm at the point where
It's modern day Ghostbusters.
well, I mean, I guess I'm at the point where, okay, if they'd followed your instructions and they got rid of what they had, retrieved
Sure.
from delinquent storage units and so forth, my next, as an investigator, and I say this, I got to hand it to you guys, I wouldn't be there, and I admit it, I wouldn't be there.
I'll give you
Fuck
another
that,
one. You
fuck
said
that
about
in the
the
suicide closet. That's all you. That ain't me.
Well, you said where the energy can energy attach to anything. I mean, the most famous artifact in the paranormal world is Annabelle the doll.
I was going to say the Hope Diamond, but yeah, but Annabelle.
Good one, though.
Yes.
I mean-
well, I guess if you could equate a curse, because Hope Diamond, as they say, is curse. But yes, but I understand what you're saying.
I don't believe Hope Diamond is a paranormal curse. It's a curse of greed.
Well, it might be. It might be. I mean, I've seen it in
People
person.
get-
It's
greed-
beautiful.
Greed brings people.
It's
greed makes
beautiful.
people
Go back to
dirty.
Annabelle. I'm not familiar with that.
Annabelle.
Oh, Annabelle.
Annabelle. So
Fuck Annabelle.
So Annabelle is basically is a Raggedy Ann doll from the late 50s that is said to possess a demon.
Couple of movies.
You
You can say the movie's name.
I'm trying to even think what the name was.
Annabelle.
What's the other? There's several.
Yes,
It goes along
Annabelle
that lines.
2.
But
Annabelle the demon doll. No,
but it's
kidding.
the movie's based on Ed and Lorraine Warren, two of the most famous paranormal psycho.
What's the big one they investigated
Amityville
initially?
Horror.
The Amityville Horror.
Yeah,
that's
they-
a
they
paranormal investigators that did the Amityville Horror trials.
And they did so many more. They actually even did the infield haunting. They went to England and researched the infield haunting.
That's
and
right, which is
everything.
fucking freaky as shit.
Which is it's a case study all on its own.
Yeah, it is.
But we told them to get rid of the artifact. Everything quit after that.
Well, okay, I'm getting back to what I was saying just a second ago. That being said, if I had the balls, which I didn't, and I'll admit that, to be in the suicide closet boy like you are, I would say like, okay, give me those artifacts, and in a controlled environment.
I can go get them for you.
What now?
You want me to go get them for you?
No, you go get it for me, and let me rethink that. We'll talk about that
actually-
later.
Bring my Ouija board and do it.
Fuck you and your Ouija board.
I'll tell you right now that I won't have anything to do with the Ouija board after the stuff that we dealt with. I'll
Oh,
never
my
touch
God.
another one.
Okay.
I had one, and I got a different story about that one. I had one that was given to me where my mom and dad had a grocery store back when I was a kid. And we had this elder gentleman. I can't remember his
I
name.
played with the Ouija board when I was a kid.
Well, this guy would bring stuff by on his way to the dump from cleaning out places and barns, and he'd let me dig through the back of his truck and get whatever I wanted out of it.
and there
to
was a
play
Ouija
with.
board.
one of the artifacts that I got out of that one time, amongst a bunch of old
Did
pedal
it
storage
contain the
machines and everything.
device that you move around? You
okay.
know what that's called?
This Ouija
I
board,
bet
Scott.
Travis does.
I don't know anything.
You don't know what the Ouija board mover is called?
I'm not sure what a Ouija board is.
Yes, you do. Does anyone know?
I can't think of the name of it.
It's
right
called
now.
the planchette.
The planchette.
Yes.
Right. But the one that I found was not like the Milton Bradley Ouija board.
Okay.
No.
Oh, shit.
It was about an inch thick. It looked like a butcher block, like a cutting board.
Okay.
So it was made of wood for sure.
Was it
For sure.
rosewood?
And it had like mother of pearl inlay in it. It had black enamel pieces in it, but it was missing a lot of those little flaked out pieces and everything. But you could see the indention cutouts where all the letters and all the stuff was.
Okay.
So I thought it was cool. Started playing with that thing at the house by myself at the house, just messing with it. And then like,
But you didn't have the planchette, or did you?
no, I never had the planchette.
So
I
how
would
do you
just
play?
use-
How do you play with a Ouija board?
You
without
can
a
use
plan-
anything. You just put it on top of it and you're just playing with it. I mean,
Okay,
you
so
do this
you-
thing and you make
okay.
it work.
So you
Planchette,
make-
just whatever you wanted to put on there.
Okay, so you made your own.
Made my own.
Okay,
So.
I'm with you.
And but my mom and dad were so dead set against anything like that being brought into the house. I hid it. So
Knowing
they
your
never know
parents
I had it.
very
I
well.
can understand that. Knowing
Yes.
your mom.
Okay, so I hid it.
His
so
mother
I'd go back the
extremely
next day.
religious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I go back the next day to get it, and it wouldn't be where I put it. So I immediately
board
thought-
would-
the board was moved. It wasn't where I put it,
Okay.
and I'm like, oh crap, mom and dad's found it. Now they're messing with me.
Because they knew you had it.
And so I didn't say anything. I'd get it, I'd find it, and I'd play with it some more, play with it some more, play with it some more.
Well, ask you,
Finally,
you say find it. Where would you find it?
like if I'd hide it in like a chest in the bottom of the closet, I'd find it on the top shelf in the back up behind under magazines, or I'd find it under the bed, or I'd find it under my mattress, or I'd find it under my pillow.
Well, that, knowing your parents, and you know your parents, of course, better than I do,
Sure.
you knew if they found it, they
They
just
would've
got
tossed
rid
it.
of
Well,
it.
see, and that's where my head finally went, but I still was thinking.
Of course, you were a kid at this time,
they're
too.
pranking me.
About how old were you?
12, maybe 13.
Okay, so you were basically a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you know if you do any paranormal research, you know, you're 12, 13 years old, you're still like going into puberty real
Sure.
heavy and everything else. That's the worst time in the world for paranormal activity.
I get it for an individual because you're mixed up enough
Your
already. anyway.
chemicals are all over the place, and you can see it. Anybody will tell you that's the worst time for paranormal encounters when that stuff happens. Anyways, so I went to my mom and dad and said, okay, enough's enough. Quit pranking me on this. I know you're moving it.
Okay, where's my damn Ouija board? Because you didn't say damn.
And they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So I go back, finally dig it out and find it and bring it in there. And I thought I was going to get my ass handed to me.
Sure, because you had that.
They
Listen,
melted down on me.
okay. Which is exactly the kind of way I felt about Travis had a damn, which I just found out had a damn seance. Fuck that. Go ahead,
So,
Kevin.
anyways,
I'm pretty sure I feel Beelzebub here now.
Fuck you, Ed.
So I
Whatever.
decided I was going to destroy it because I was getting freaked out about now.
Okay.
Because I was having all kinds of just like weird dreams and stuff that weren't normal. I didn't watch scary movies and stuff growing up. I didn't care anything about them.
What do you mean by abnormal?
Like gory, like gory, satanic type of thoughts. I mean, like really bad, messed up, twisted stuff going through my head.
Like you hurting people or
No,
watching people?
well, not hurting people in general.
I bet it
but
was the music you were
destroying
listening to.
stuff.
what?
I bet it was the music, the Poison, the
Or
Cinderella.
the video games.
Oh, it was the
Like,
video games. That's what it was. It was that damn
Vidya.
Atari.
It's the damn Vidya's fault.
It was
Yeah.
That is the
Frogger.
Baptist upbringing.
See,
Hey,
see, I'm
Baptists
screwed
are
up. I
fine.
came up. I grew up between Southern Baptist and Methodist. So,
That's right.
I mean, you know,
Okay,
hey.
Kevin. So
So, nevertheless, I destroy this thing, and without realizing, because I didn't know enough about how you're
Sure, you're
supposed to
12 years old.
dispose of it.
that's right.
So I nail it to a tree, set it on fire, and blow it apart with my dad's old shotgun.
Okay.
So now, years later, after doing the paranormal stuff, you find out that if you do that or destroy a board, any demon or anything that was inside or maybe it attached
You're
to
setting
that
it
board,
loose.
you're letting it free on the world.
Fuck that.
And so that, now mind you, I was like 12 or 13 years
I get
old.
it. I get it. Okay,
All
so
right,
how
so now
many
you're
years
gonna
between
go-
the time you shot it till the time you realized that expired? I mean, transpired.
Well, that's, yeah. So we get to, let's go, I'm going to go ahead and go into the house, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So the kid's at the stairs.
so the
He's
kid's at the stairs.
hands up.
Okay, so
how did
we're-
I
okay,
get
so
here?
everybody know. Okay, so obviously a number of years transpired between the time you shot it till the
Well,
time you realized
okay,
that you shouldn't
number
have
of
done
years,
so.
number of years transpiring was approaching
25,
30 35 years span time from the time that Ouija board got destroyed to what we're encountering at this house.
Okay, so now, just to let you guys know, so it's because it's kind of sometimes it's just disjointed. We are now back at their investigation of the child at the top of the stairs, which was the impetus for Thomas to quitting paranormal investigation
That's
entirely.
right.
Myself as well.
The kid with his hand
Oh, you
up.
quit too?
I completely quit. I will not do it
I
again.
say, so the kid's at the top of the stairs
Yes.
with his hand
Okay.
up.
Okay, so-
hold on, well, wait just a second before we
Yeah.
go there, because I want to make sure everyone's with us. Okay, you had gone to this location at these people's request.
Okay, yeah, I'll bring us back up to
Please,
that spot.
yes,
So, okay,
please.
so we had, prior to us getting this call, we had done multiple investigations. We had found, I'll finish up the Radford one as we go to the house.
Okay.
We found out after the fact of the St. Albans investigation that every bit of evidence that we encountered, every bit of evidence we gathered could be validated by every other team that had ever been there, almost verbatim.
Virginia.
Yes, in Radford, Virginia.
How do you you can't discount that.
Well, you have no physical proof other than personal encounter or electronic movement. You might have videos of electronic stuff moving, but you still don't see the physical hand of an entity touching
So you
it.
guys had no cameras rolling on you and the flashlight.
We had cameras. We had a lot of footage. Since then, every hard drive that's had it on there is corrupt. They won't do anything. They won't load. They won't open up.
Were you able to bring home any hard visual evidence of you asking the question and the flashlight coming on?
Oh, absolutely. We had hours and hours
You
and
had that.
hours of video.
But you don't have that any longer.
Not anymore.
We had it from maybe the first time we were at the house in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we went there 2 times.
Yes, we did.
When they called us back and said, "Hey, it's still happening," okay, we'll come back. A couple
Yes.
months that transpired.
But at this moment, no more evidence exists.
No. And so we get to this house. We set up all of our equipment
Okay. This is the house with the boy.
with the boy.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, they
And
called,
when
they
yelled
called us and said, "Hey, it is so much worse.
It's amped
We
up."
found him at the top of the stairs."
And where is this
And,
again?
This is in Athens.
Okay.
Not
Oh,
going to get.
shit,
not
it's in
gonna-
Athens?
I'm not going to give you the
Yeah.
exact.
I understand, but
I'm
it's
not
in
going to give you the exact location,
No,
but
no,
I
no,
will
that's
tell you
fine.
that it's in one of the old part of towns behind the college.
Okay.
It's the only thing I'm going to say.
That's fine.
So once they called us and said everything had amped up and got much, much worse, we said, okay, we're bringing the equipment, we're coming in, everything we got. We need everybody to be ready to go. The owners of the house, you're more than welcome to stay, but the kids cannot be here.
I understand. At this point, no one actually had been physically harmed.
Nothing that
that
can
I
be
don't know.
validated. I mean, like,
Did
there'd be.
they say someone had been harmed?
Well, but they couldn't equate it. They couldn't say. They couldn't equate it. It'd be they get tripped up, they'd fall, they'd hit the wall,
okay.
something like that.
Nothing like there's teeth marks on my damn
No,
shoulder.
no, no,
Okay.
no. No teeth marks, no claw marks or anything like that. But they would find like their wedding picture on the other side of the room. They would find stuff relocated throughout the house.
Okay.
And they tell us how much worse it's getting here and babies crying and everything else. So we decided,
Which
okay,
woke
we're
them up in
going.
the night, right.
Yes. Yes. So we said, we're going. We're absolutely going. We're going to take our equipment. We're going to catch some proof of something.
Okay. You and Thomas and who else?
It was us.
Okay, because Jake obviously had gone.
And Amy. My wife Amy was with us too.
Okay. Okay. So the
And,
three.
the three of us, yeah. So we get there, and as we're setting up cameras, our cameras had motion sensor icons that would show up on our monitors, so that if anything started moving, that little icon would show up and it would start recording on that camera.
I
For the
understand. Motion activated.
Yes, but we could live monitor the entire time during this time.
I understand.
So every camera we set up, the top level of the house, it's a 2-story house with a dugout, basically root cellar basement.
Okay.
Half of the basement is hand dug. There's a little concrete pad poured with a fire.
I love those houses like that. They're old.
Old house.
Yeah.
It's one of the original houses in that block.
Okay.
So
And the part of town is a very old part.
it's a
of
very
town,
old
so-
part of town. So
We're talking about maybe early 1800s, right?
no, I'd say this house was built in the
20s, 30s.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No, it was no newer than the 30s. I
Okay.
would say. But so, anyways, we're setting cameras up. We still ain't got lights off, and we're already getting like motion sensor stuff just going crazy.
Do you have any feelings?
We're hearing sounds upstairs, so we'll run up the staircase to look see if anybody's upstairs. There's nobody upstairs.
What kind of sounds are you hearing?
Doors shutting, like cabinet doors being open
Okay,
and
so not-
closed,
not voices.
squeaks, footsteps. I mean, you're hearing a lot of
Fucking
stuff.
footsteps.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And then so we go upstairs. Now the noises are downstairs. We go downstairs. Now the noises are in the basement.
Now, where are the people at? Where are the people that live in
They're
this house?
sitting in the living room, sitting on a couch.
So they're not moving around.
They're not moving. They're following our orders, saying, "Listen,
What
don't
time
do
of
this, don't
day
do
is
this."
this?
Oh, God, it might have been 7:30,
7:30
It's
o'clock,
still
yeah.
early.
Yeah, it's early.
But it's PM.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
PM.
okay.
Yeah, so we start trying to do stuff, and all of a sudden, I open the basement door to go down to check the camera.
So it's 2 stories in a basement.
Right.
Okay.
Well, this is one of those old doors. It's only about 24 inches wide.
Right.
And the little, not 90-degree staircase, but it's not much from it. The little narrow stairs to go
Sure.
down the old cellar. I open the door, and a shadow of a man goes across the bottom of the stairs.
Fuck that.
And I immediately, and the lights are on. The lights are on. And I turned and I went, who the hell's in the basement?
Okay.
There's nobody down there. I said, somebody's coming to that basement with me. I am not going down them steps by myself.
Fuck that. I don't. I said
The
I-
energy level hit, and the way it looked, because there's nothing behind this staircase except a wood stove.
Okay, so the lights are on in the basement, and you see a shadow move across the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a single hanging pull chain light in the basement.
Okay, I
But
mean, in the
I
stairwell.
can
or-
see in the
Okay.
basement.
Okay.
I can see the light bulb down in front of me at the base of the stairs, but a shadow went this way.
So you saw a
So
shadow.
like a light source would have been behind the staircase, and there is no light source behind the staircase.
in other words, you saw a shadow of something that wasn't there.
Yes,
Yeah, an entity.
an entity of
Or
some sort,
something that was.
or something that was there. Because we go on down, we immediately said, okay,
You opening the door to the basement could have made that little pendant light to move, which may have seen the perception of a shadow.
there was nothing down the shadow. The light bulb was in front of me. There was nothing to cast a shadow
So the
between
light
me
wasn't
and the
moving.
light bulb.
And you saw the lights were stationary.
Yeah, but nevertheless, there's nothing to cast a shadow this direction. The light's in front of the shadow.
Okay.
The shadow moves. It's like
So you get Thomas to go with you down the stairs?
so we all go down the stairs. We take the entire crew down the stairs.
You, Amy, and Thomas.
and David and his wife,
Oh, the residents of
the
home.
residents of the home.
Okay.
They all go to the basement. We all go down there
Where's the child at this point?
at his
Out of the
mother's.
home.
Well,
No
out of
That's
the
not
home.
because
No
you had
kids.
previously said the child
Yes,
couldn't be
no
there.
kids at the house.
I understand.
So we all go down there, and we're just setting up laser grids and everything, and then we're getting noises upstairs again. I
Sure.
mean, it's all over. It's had us running to death. So at that moment, we hear the noise upstairs. Thomas and I go upstairs. We take 2 flashlights, a red and a blue one,
Okay.
and this is one of the, again, you got to think about these houses that are built in the 20s and 30s. They're the construction, you've got those creaks in the floors. You've got the steps that kind of bounce a little bit.
That's right. It's an old home.
It's an old home. So on the upstairs, one of their daughters, she was probably 12 or 13 at that
Yeah,
time.
old enough to have a.
so they had more children
Yes,
than the
other
small
than just
child.
a baby.
How many kids did they have?
3.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah,
Any experiences prior with the other children?
all of them.
Like what? What kind of experiences?
Go ahead, get into it.
Yeah.
I got to know.
So yeah, upstairs is where the daughters stayed,
Okay.
and they
Yes.
were they his or hers. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
That's
matter.
where the young
Yeah.
preteens live.
Okay.
Right. That's where their bedrooms were.
I mean, we know that we're
So-
getting to the
So
kid with the arm.
between
Yeah.
between the two bedrooms, this little foyer area is kind of like the community dresser and everything else. These are little bitty rooms.
Okay.
You put a twin bed in it, you barely got much room to walk around them.
Okay. And again, what are the age of the children we're talking about?
Preteen. Yeah,
Okay.
10 to 13.
Yeah,
I
somewhere in
guess.
that range.
And the youngest 5.
The youngest
Yep.
is somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, in the hallway on the dresser up top is a necklace tree.
Yes,
These
I know.
little wire wound necklace
Yes.
trees, and there must be
Being the father of $3, I know exactly what you're
probably
talking about.
20 little chain necklaces with charm stuff hanging on this tree.
That's right.
You walk through there and you hear it jingle.
Because,
Because
the floor's
one of them
shaking.
is a jingle bell necklace.
One is
Oh,
a jingle
little
bell
bells on
necklace.
it. Okay.
Right?
All right.
So he gets.
So you hear the tinkling of the bells.
So he's
The
on
ring
one
ting.
end of this little foyer area. I'm on the other end of this little foyer area, and we decide we're just going to sit down.
Okay.
No movement, no nothing. We put
And
the
what's the
flashlights
distance between you?
5 to 6 feet,
Okay.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And you say setup. So what's the setup?
So basically, we took 2 of the little maglite flashlights.
Okay.
And if you've looked at them, the head of that flashlight is larger than the end of it.
That's right. The bulb was at the end.
Okay, so if you know anything about that, if you put that on a flat plane surface and try to roll it,
It's going to roll in a circular
it's going to roll in an ellipsis.
That's
it's going
right.
to roll in a circle. Okay, these are a good 1.5 2 foot apart.
What's the floor?
The width of the dresser.
Is
Yeah.
the floor hardwood or?
It's carpeted, but it's carpeted runners over old hardwood.
Okay, and so are you laying it on the floor or on the
No,
dresser?
we're laying
the
this
dresser.
on the dresser.
on the dresser. Okay.
on
One
each
of which,
side.
one of which is right in front of the necklace tree.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got the lights, and they're 2 foot apart on this dresser top.
Okay.
That necklace tree's right here.
Okay.
Us walking up the steps, that necklace tree would jingling. Right?
Understandable.
So that's why we decided to sit down so that we wouldn't have any movement.
Right.
To cause any.
You
We didn't want any
get
corruption in our data.
extraneous effects. Right.
So we're up there, and I don't remember the series of questions and how we got to the point because the rest of this, I mean, this place went south on our investigation. It went south on us real fast.
I can't wait to hear.
They were basic questions. I guess you want to do any harm, or you
Yeah.
have me, yeah,
yeah.
Well,
Our basic
tell
questions.
me
female.
those responses.
yeah.
Well,
and,
all of a sudden,
well, it was one light.
yeah,
Were
It
you
was just
specifically
one light.
saying?
Yeah,
the red one or the blue
red
one or
one or
whatever.
the blue one, and it was always the same flashlight, just on and off, on and off.
Which
on and
color
off.
was it?
We don't remember
Yeah, I
now.
can't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
One was red, one was blue.
Okay.
So one of them.
Yeah.
Let's just say the blue one is the only one that was
That was working.
That was
The red one wasn't responding
on
and
and
doing
off.
anything.
Okay.
So,
So what questions did you ask to
oh my
see the
gosh,
reaction?
I can't even remember. They
There
were
was it was really we'd gotten into that point of, and like I said earlier, this was before we realized the darkness of what we were walking into.
Yeah.
At this point, we were still going into this like we had any other investigation.
Sure.
That we are the masters of our domain and we can control these entities.
We're
because-
provoking this, and we could stop it anytime we want.
Right. That's where we're at. So we start pushing the questions a little farther.
As you mentioned earlier about provoking to try to get responses.
And evidently, we flipped a switch with something because both flashlights slammed together and meet in the
Only-
middle of this dresser.
only after you said, "I'm tired of the blue light coming on.
I'm tired of the bullshit with the blue light.
Make the red
Enough
one
of the
coming on."
games. Make the red light come on. And both lights met in the center of this table with a resounding clack of aluminum that, slapped together.
And how far apart were they?
2 foot.
And you're in a closed environment.
Me and
Oh,
him
yeah.
are both looking at these lights as they slammed together on this dresser from 2 feet apart.
Okay.
And
what
both of the lights came on instantaneously when they slammed together.
And
And
what
the
did-
necklace tree never made a sound. The
What?
necklace tree never jingled. It
Nothing.
never wiggled. It never did anything.
Now, you think maybe that was the case because you were focused on the flashlight and you didn't hear it?
Oh, no.
okay.
No, it was the
We
devil.
did not. We did not realize.
course.
No, listen. We did not realize the negative that we were poking. This was so early in on that investigation there that we thought we were still just dealing with an entity that we could identify.
Sure, and
Yeah.
and you had control of.
And-
some kind of horseplay entity, or
A horseplay
something.
or something
Yeah,
like-
we're going to leave a drawer open. We're going
Right.
to leave a door open.
Okay, so
or make sure it wasn't a residual something that they were seeing residual hauntings.
so all of a sudden, four eyes, your four
Yes.
eyes, got huge. You looked at each other, and then you looked at the flashlight, looked back at each other. What the fuck happened next?
We said okay.
We should have had a camera up here instead of downstairs.
We didn't have the camera setting at
Yeah,
that
we
point
were
at
like,
that time.
You got to be kidding me! Of all the times,
of every time. So we go back and
And you swear that
on
happened
my
ex-
mother and father's lives, graves right now.
Okay.
You're absolutely fucking
And you
right.
corroborate
I'm dead
that,
serious.
Thomas?
oh, absolutely,
Really?
100%.
You saw that happen just as he described it.
yeah,
And you just
Absolutely.
wait.
It
You
was-
just wait
Oh,
because
hold on,
because it gets
Travis.
so much
Travis,
worse.
what do you think about that?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, is that what caused you to
No.
stop?
No.
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 That's not enough for me.
No, that was
No.
not enough to make us stop. That was enough to get us amped up and make us. Buddy, we had an adrenaline rush. We're
Did you
gonna
get the
to
least bit
bottom of
scared?
This one, no, not at that point.
No,
not
at
the
that
same
time-
way. It kind of shook us a little bit. We were
Okay.
like, "Oh shit, that's a violent reaction." I mean, we've never had a violent reaction that violent.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
please proceed.
We've had movement of lights. We've
Sure.
had gauges. We've had
You've had the
manipulation of
piercing of the
stuff.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had never had such a violent response
Like that.
so quickly.
okay.
So-
Can I say, well,
Sure,
you know what blows
please.
my mind is that I've heard little bits and pieces. I've heard the Cleveland thing that you were talking about, but a lot of the stuff I've never heard. It interests me that you've been to the same museum that I just love, but I also it makes me want to go on a ghost hunt.
And just to let you guys know, yes,
Absolutely.
I'm hearing this entire story for the first time ever.
So the investigation progresses. We keep going. We start deciding how we're going to set up more equipment, how we're going to get things done. And then we open up the basement. At that point, we were going to go down and set up the laser grid stuff,
Right.
and go back to the basement. We go to the basement, and as we're starting to go to the basement, the motion sensor is going off in the basement again.
Okay.
You know,
How
we've
are
seen
you
the
alerted?
shadow
Just
earlier.
hear it as an audible
No,
alarm?
it looks like a little running man icon would show up in the bottom of that monitor screen.
Okay, so you're watching it on the monitor. I
Yeah,
see.
we had a laptop set up. We had the computer monitors and everything. So we had
Does
six.
it have a little cursor that actually will follow the motion, or just tell you that there's motion?
It just tells you there's motion
I
in the
understand.
frame.
Okay.
So we decide, okay, we're going to go set the laser grid up, leave it under surveillance,
Sure.
and just see if we catch anything through movement of the laser grid.
Okay.
So we start, and again, through the progression of the
And
night.
where are you setting this up? In the basement?
The basement.
Okay.
Yeah, and the computers, the monitors are in the living room.
The
All right.
living room, kitchen, dining area.
And you were
sets on the
upstairs,
table.
though. You were upstairs when the flashlights clacked.
That's the
Yeah, we
very
were in-
top floor. Yeah, our control center is the living room area. And all
Why
that.
would you not bring cameras up there?
Well, we did after the fact. This was
Okay.
this
Yeah.
was preliminary early on in the investigation,
I'm
trying to
with you.
figure out how we
All
were
right.
going to set the stuff
I'm sorry.
up.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking
It
if
was-
I were there.
It was an amateur move.
That's fine.
100%.
It was.
Okay.
We should have.
because honestly, when we went there, it wasn't going there to be a full blown investigation to start with. We were going there to get relief for these
For
people.
the family. Well, take me back to the basement. So you go
So
back down.
so we go back down there, and the energy level was the most incredibly charged air I've ever been in my life. And I literally am looking into a corner after we've got movement after movement after movement on
on
the
the
cameras.
cameras, right?
And I'm go down there, and as clear as I'm looking at you guys, at that moment, I could see something in the corner of this basement.
How big was the basement?
15 by 20.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, we're talking about a big. We're not
No.
talking about a big basement
No,
at all.
it was
No.
mostly a cellar.
Okay. Okay.
Dirt-
So
yeah.
when you
Dirt
say you see
floor.
movement, it's almost right against you.
Oh man,
Okay, a few feet away.
yeah, a few feet away. 8 feet, maybe 10 feet tops.
Okay. But all three of you are down there.
All of us are down there.
Okay.
The husband and wife, the owners of the home, and
Oh,
then all
shit,
three of
five
us.
of
So
you,
there's
okay.
5 of us
the
down here.
entity.
I guess there were
Six.
six.
Or them.
Actually, no, because Legion's more than that.
Fuck that shit. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, this is where we decided this is the path that we're going to tell you now that took us out of the game.
Please do.
All right, so I'm sitting there and I said, I can see you. I said, I could see you right there in front of me. I said, you are not going to attack these people anymore. I said, I demand. I said, as you know, God is my savior. You, by God, step up toe to toe to me now.
You say I could see you. What did you see?
Blackness.
Like
Someone had hung a great big wad of curtains in a corner in a dark room that was as thick as if you've ever seen diesel smoke when someone's running diesel.
right, like someone they call rolling coal.
You
on
can't
somebody.
see light through it.
Right. It's just a dense black
It's
fog.
a dense black fog, but moving like a curtain.
You
When I
saw that.
when I demanded it to go face to face, it rushed me and stopped about an inch off of my nose.
You saw that? You saw it?
Yeah, it was stupid.
You
It was-
fucking saw fog move
it-
across the room.
It wasn't fog. There
No,
was-
no, I mean,
The closest thing I can say that I've ever seen that Hollywood's ever done that it even comes close to it is those specter things on Harry Potter, the black specter looking things that are trailing
the
around flying.
Dementors.
Yeah,
Fuck anything
Okay.
that's fucking close to that.
but there was no face. It was just a black nothingness.
And if you think
how do
that's
you let
bad,
that approach without jumping the fuck back and running upstairs? How do you do that?
I can tell you the power of the energy that it had when it did that to me. I did not have a fight or flight. It literally filled me with so much rage that I was ready. I could have ripped somebody in half and gone to dinner and never worried about it. I was filled with so much unadulterated rage and anger.
Was that your feeling, or was that's things projecting on you?
I think projecting on me, but it made me stand my ground harder than I've ever stood my
At that
ground in
point, it
my
didn't
life.
matter. That's just
And
the
I
way you
was
felt.
so mad. I wanted to attack it. I wanted it to attack me. I was begging it to attack me. I was asking, saying, I was like, come on. And I was taunting. I was pushing. And all of a sudden, in the middle of all this taunting and this pushing,
remember, I went upstairs and you guys turned the lights off.
you went
Hold on.
upstairs because you got right on the computer. You're like, we got to film
I went
this.
upstairs.
We gotta
When
make
that
sure we're
approached him, you
catching
went
this.
upstairs.
He didn't run.
I was scared to death, but I had to go upstairs and make sure everything was running.
To catch that.
And I had audio and I had video.
We're not
but-
judging you. We understand.
No,
No, he didn't run because he was scared because
Okay.
we'd done this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you
They
fucking
turned-
not run because you're not
they
scared?
turned-
How do you do that?
Scott,
turned-
it takes a lot to master fear, and I'm going to tell
I'm
you.
still
And
working
some
on
people
that.
never do it.
Yeah.
But if you're ever going to do it, you're going to master fear in a paranormal investigating situation because you
Yes.
have no option.
That's true. Yeah.
You're not given an option to do this. You can't turn and run in a pitch black room and hope to come out of it unscathed. You're going to run head first into a wall or into something and kill yourself.
I get that.
So
So it
All right, Thomas.
rushed you.
It rushed me.
All right, so Thomas is elaborate.
yep.
Go ahead,
So
Thomas.
so the decision was made, and I was not happy about it because I had to go upstairs by myself.
Right.
I had to go sit on the couch and watch two monitors.
Right.
And
Of the
and-
world
and-
of shit happening
and
downstairs.
listen to their almost interrogation
Sure.
or questioning techniques.
But you can
So
see them on the monitors, right?
They
Oh,
turned
yeah, he
the
could see it
lights
and hear
off.
it.
They turned the lights off, and we went to infrared.
Yeah,
Okay,
we went
but
full
so you
spectrum.
could
We
see
had
them.
one full
Yeah.
spectrum in infrared going.
Yes.
Well, I have to ask this: did you pick up the fucking smog shadow thing on camera?
Oh yes. But those hard drives since then have fried. They have
I
corrupted.
know. So bad.
Okay, Thomas, please,
So while I'm
because that's probably $1 million footage.
yeah, while I am sitting there,
Probably.
I hear them talking, and then I hear something else start talking,
Mhm.
and it's like one of those Hollywood demon voices.
Oh, it's evil.
You heard it over your speakers, or in
through the speakers.
Through the
Yes,
speakers.
Okay. It wasn't over your shoulder.
No,
And I can
no,
tell
no,
you
no.
this: we did not hear the voice downstairs.
Okay,
he got
please.
the voice on the computer.
Okay, go ahead. Shit.
And then it started getting louder, and Kevin says, "We've got to come up now." I
Well,
said,
you say you hear what? Did you make
The
out
voice
anything it was
keeps getting-
saying?
"Oh, the demonic voice." It was
It was
What,
Latin.
what was it saying? Latin?
It was Latin.
It was, and we know it's Latin because of
We had it verified.
the recording that we had.
You are fucking shitting me.
No,
We're good.
No,
you're
it's
you're gonna-
stupid.
yeah, it's very.
it is
You-
crazy.
okay, so you
Yeah.
heard something speaking in a language that you didn't.
I had no
I know
clue.
you know a little bit of Latin. I know that.
we knew
I
enough
mean-
to understand that we thought it was Latin.
Yes.
We even went as far as thinking ancient Sumerian to a certain point.
Well, I wouldn't
because-
recognize ancient Sumerian. Latin,
No.
I would pick up on.
No,
but
I'm
they-
saying
so-
we were trying to figure out what linguist we could get this tape to
Right.
tell us what it was.
Right.
Did you go
So-
to a Catholic priest?
And
Almost.
actually, we did. We went to a man who was a Catholic scholar that I'd worked with for years,
So-
and he interpreted it for us.
So while I'm there on the couch and I hear this, and then it becomes louder.
Okay, you said demonic voice. I mean, what, gravelly.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Okay,
something out of Hollywood,
seven or eight
man.
voices layered on top of one another.
Oh
all
shit!
speaking
You're
at the
talking.
same
You're
time.
talking about multi.
I'm talking about legion.
It was
I get. In other
Yeah.
words, what they're talking about, guys, is more than what. Like it's like a chorus of voices.
It's a chorus of voices all saying the exact same thing in different octaves, tones, and aggression.
my fucking
behind it.
hair is standing up on the back of my neck.
So-
Mine is not.
So Kevin says, "Tommy, we're coming upstairs now." I said, "I bet you are."
Okay.
So
Did you tell him? I hear
Now,
some shit. Did
At
you not
thi-
say
well,
that?
at this
Oh, well.
point, he didn't know what was going on in the basement.
I
at this
didn't know what
point.
was what.
Why I said we're
I
coming
didn't
up.
know, but I assumed he could hear what I was hearing. So
That's right, because it was coming through the speaker.
yeah, as they're coming up the stairs, I can kind of hear the sound, the voice follow them.
The
And-
chorus of voices.
Yeah, so
Oh, yes.
the kitchen's behind me, and that's where the stairs to the cellar is.
Right.
So as and there's a wall behind me, and as they're coming up, I hear it kind of disappear from the monitors because that's where our speakers were.
That's where your microphones
And
are.
now I'm hearing the sound come with them,
Oh,
and that's when I look
you start
up,
hearing it off the monitors and with your ears.
Oh yes.
and that's when I look up because I had the living room light on.
Okay.
I'm not a moron.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
sitting up there in the dark.
By yourself.
Yeah. So
The smoky demon chorus in the basement.
So Kevin has an arm, and David has the other arm to his wife, and they're leading his wife into the living room,
Okay.
and her eyes are rolled back in her head.
And she is complete catatonic. She is
Hold on,
not
did you know that walking her up the stairs?
Well, that's okay. So prior to coming up the stairs, when he starts hearing these voices
Yeah.
on the monitors, I was at a point of provocation. I was pushing this thing with
You said-
everything it could, and I said, and I called it every name I could think of, and said, "You attack me. You want somebody? Here I am.
Okay.
Jump into me, take my energy, bring it, bitch."
Fuck, don't ever ask that
Well,
shit.
Well, hey, listen. At that moment, at that
Did
moment,
you say that? Would you say that?
Well, when you went to bed the night that we had the seance, I asked it to enter you and bring you back out.
Well, I appreciate that. No. Okay, no, my question is this. Okay, hold that thought, Kevin. My question is, if you saw some phenomena like that fucking shit, would you really, be honest, Travis? Would you ask it to enter you?
You know, the biggest problem I have with ghosts
That's not what I'm asking.
is their lack of belief in themselves.
That's not what we're talking about. My question is, if
That's a Ted Lasso quote.
I know it is, but
Correct.
if you see something, okay, you see something you can't explain. You see someone lurching, whatever. You see something that you, okay, that's fucking shit's real, or whatever, or I don't know. Would you say, you know what? Convince me, leave them and enter. Would you ask that?
I have no fear of that.
Would you ask it?
I don't believe in it. I'd have to see it to actually.
Okay, if you did see it, that's my question.
But I haven't.
I understand it's hypothetical, so you
And
can't.
I've been through many
So-
a scenario.
So she is eyes rolled back.
So
I know,
anyway,
I wouldn't ask
so
that. I would
anyways,
never
in the
ask
moment of that provocation, all of a sudden, that entity or energy in front of us immediately vanishes.
Okay,
Okay.
so coming. Okay,
So Thomas
Are
is
you-
just at the computer upstairs.
And you're still down.
I'm still downstairs.
Okay.
Her husband's standing right beside me. He's getting so full of rage he can't stand it. And I
it's
grab
the same
him
feeling that you're feeling.
and I said, "Dude, it's trying to push you to get pissed off to attack. Calm it. Slow down. Calm yourself. Take a breath. Step back."
All right.
And I kept pushing it. All of a sudden, it just vanishes.
That the blackness.
It's just gone. It's just no longer there.
okay.
Within a half a second of it vanishing, his wife, who is sitting on the stairs beside my wife, starts a low guttural laugh, like you see on movies, and she starts
Yay.
rocking, going.
That's like some shit out of damn. I mean,
Yes,
that's
it's
like,
just
that's like
like
some
that.
shit out of fucking what's it called? That damn Campbell movie, Bruce Campbell's movie, Evil Dead.
Okay,
It's like
okay.
Evil Dead
And
shit.
Listen, every bit of it.
And we're in a cellar too, so
Yeah, so
Ooh, that's a good
that's
point.
when we said, okay, so we're gonna. David, her husband, just he loses it. He flips. He starts calling her name. She's not responding to him. So we start getting her up the staircase, and she starts speaking Latin.
and that's the voice.
Probably not something she did on an average everyday thing.
And her husband, he goes,
In her voice?
no, not even close.
See, that's
to her
another.
voice.
That's another pointer.
And keeps saying, and I can't remember
Yeah.
the phrase.
I would rather
Latin.
you not say the words. Thank
Well,
you.
but basically what it was.
Say
after we
say the words.
Don't say
Oh,
the words.
I'll
Well,
say them in
it's-
English
it's
because it's
okay.
nothing bad. There was nothing
It's-
what
possessive
was
to it. So basically, what she was saying in Latin and what we found out later after
Yeah,
being
so-
interpreted.
God protect us.
So she is on the couch at this time.
You got her upstairs.
She's on
Yeah.
the couch.
Is she? And she's still uttering Latin.
Yes,
She is, but the phrase that the guy picks up on,
Who's the guy?
this gentleman is long past. He
Yeah.
passed away. I worked with him for years, but he grew up in.
And you said, but he wasn't there.
He
No,
was
no,
not
no.
there. I
He was,
took the
he was a
recorded.
Catholic priest, right?
No, he was just a Catholic parishioner, and he'd grown
Well,
up
they
in
used to
Catholic
do, they
schools
used to
and
do
stuff.
Catholic mass back in the day. A lot of places. did.
And well, he still did. There was a Catholic church. in
Okay,
Athens
well, you're
that he
talking
went
about
to.
something that occurred after the fact.
So I let him listen to the recording after the fact. That's
Okay.
how we
Yeah.
interpreted it. It
And
wasn't
she-
during the
and
event.
she
Yeah.
said,
so while she's laying on the couch, I grab my Bible.
Yeah, you got to hear. This is the best. This
And
is where it gets ramped
I
up.
thought I was ready. Okay? That's why I brought my Bible so I could find me a nice scripture and just pray over this lady, right? I was not ready. I mean, I was
Completely not ready.
for her eyes rolled back in her head and for this demonic voice coming out. I was scared to death.
And listen, when he says, Thomas goes, "Here, I'm just going to read something to you." She immediately spins her head and looks at Thomas and goes, "I know what it says."
yeah.
fuck me.
Okay, so we look at each other
she
like
says it in English or Latin?
she said that in English.
That was English.
in a tone about like what I just did. And if you
Yeah.
know this lady, she is a very petite,
very sweet.
very very sweet, very petite little feminine voice.
Yeah.
And she looked at
Saw
him
her
and
the
goes,
other day.
"I know what he says."
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
then he hands her his Bible.
You fucker. You just said
No, just wait.
You know good and well. You think that, okay, you know these guys aren't lying to you. 'Cause
I
I'm-
invite any demon to enter me now and show these guys that they're telling the truth. That's what I'm
You
about.
don't even push that one, bro. I'm telling you, you don't. That's on you, brother. I don't.
Fuck
I don't-
that
I don't
shit.
want to push
So-
that.
I know.
So while
Ugh.
she's on the couch,
I know some of them's names personally, and we're not going there.
David's trying to get it out of her.
husband.
I'm trying to pray it out of her, and she looks at Amy and says, "I'm okay. You can leave now." And then she goes back to her demonic voice. So then she After a couple minutes,
Yep.
she turns to Amy and says, "I'm okay. Y'all can leave
In
now."
her voice.
Yeah.
Now,
And
mind
then-
you, her husband during this time, I'm sorry to interject, but
No.
her husband reaches over and he'd learned a few things. He told me later on he'd learned a few things in the Army and stuff about different ways of making people like, and in paramedic, like if you got someone that's unresponsive, you can do a sternum rub.
Oh, that sucks.
You can do some of these physical interactions to make them move, react,
Yeah,
or
if you're
jump.
fainting, a sternum rub will wake you up
Well-
like that.
Well,
So will a pneumonia capsule. Not that I've ever used one.
but her
understand.
husband takes her middle finger and folds her finger completely back to her arm.
That's spousal abuse.
She never flinches. She never
Yeah.
winces in pain. She never moves a muscle. He
Insane.
then goes, I got one more. He runs to the kitchen and comes back with an ice cube and touches the ice cube to the white of her eye.
Her eyes are still up. Oh, that's how you said to roll back in her head.
And at this point, she's staring straight ahead and not blinking.
He touches an ice cube to the freaking open eye.
I'm going to ask you, if you've never tried that,
Oh, I couldn't do it. I blink when I put eye drops in.
try it once to understand what it feels like so that
thank
you can
you.
understand when I tell you that this lady never flinched, blinked, moved a muscle. Nothing changed.
Does she have glass
We
eye?
got to get more comfortable
Okay.
chairs.
So, during all this,
Oh, that had to be enough to make your butthole pucker.
I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's an excruciating
I'm
pain.
still
if you
waiting
know
on the
that.
Latin transcription.
All right,
So remember, she keeps saying,
you
it's
can
okay.
stop now. You can leave.
You can leave.
They
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
But you know this is a ruse.
Well, we found out later on that everything she was saying in Latin was, "Please make them stop. Please make them leave.
It's okay. You
It's
can leave
okay.
now."
Please make them stop. Please make them leave." So, I'm going to tell you, it gave me a false sense of
million
security. It may give me a false sense of like, oh, damn man, we just run demons out. We got demons that are afraid of us. We just made a demon run for cover.
I think that might be under the Webster's Webster's dictionary for the definition of hubris.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I was not happy about it.
Because the night progressively got worse even after that when it got
Okay.
worse. He puts the Bible in her lap. The moment the Bible touches her legs, her hands immediately draw up. Now, mind you, her head, her body, nothing else has moved. She's still staring dead ahead in a basically a catatonic state.
That's right. With ice cube on her eyeball, and she
He's
didn't
touched
blink.
her eyeball. He's bent her finger back. He's yelled at her. He's done everything we can. She will not take her eyes. And at this point,
And she's occasionally muttering in another course of voices Latin.
at this time, she is staring directly at Amy's eyes, saying, "I'm okay. You can leave now. I'm okay. Everything's fine. You can leave. You can go." She just keeps repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over.
Okay.
So Thomas puts the Bible in her lap. Her hands immediately draw up and contort,
Right.
and then she starts flipping pages.
Is that weird? Like a quarter response?
And she has never looked down at the Bible the entire time.
she's looking straight at Amy,
She's-
unblinking.
She's flipping pages
With her contracted hand?
like this. And I'm talking about flipping pages fast.
Okay.
Okay.
Like ta 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 ta.
Okay.
Immediately stops. Quick stop, hand slaps down. The end of her finger was the scripture that reads about casting the demons into the swine and the swine into the ocean.
You're right.
She stops on that exact verse with her fingertip on that exact verse, and then she stops moving or twisting and then looks back at it, just immediately then says, "You can leave now. Everything's fine. You can go."
Do you think that was the woman fighting back?
God, look at those children.
I know that, man.
No.
My-
So,
It was
I don't have
crazy.
any hair on my arms.
so literally at that very
my
moment,
neck hair is like.
me and him looked at each other and we said, "We got to get the hell out of this house for a minute."
Yes, that's the corticate. That's the cerebral.
Okay. That yes.
Corticate to cerebral.
Okay.
So-
That's what I thought.
So we literally looked at each other and said, "We got to get out of this house for a minute."
Neither's a good sign.
No, they're both
Yeah, we stood in the
They're
yard.
both indicative
stood in
of
the
brain
yard.
injuries.
You're right. Exactly.
We ended up getting
Or
in the yard.
possessions.
Or evidently. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you never know, but we ended up going out of the house, getting in the yard, and going through basically the yellow pages of anybody that we could think
They
of.
could speak Latin.
No. That would be willing to come out this time of night. At this point, it's probably 11 o'clock at night. And we're looking for any pastor, preacher, any holy
To
man,
do
with
an exorcism.
anything he can do at this point.
You should have called me.
You would have walked out of there a changed man. I promise you, you would have walked out of there a different. You would have walked in there and seen what we saw. it's like seeing your first battlefield. It's like seeing the first car crash
Yeah.
or anything else. It was the most horrific experience that I have ever seen.
I can't imagine.
So much so that I'm going to tell you that when you start playing with those kind of forces, they will follow you home.
Yeah.
You're tampering with powers that are way beyond
It
you.
identified itself to me and gave me its name that I had never heard before, and I will not speak.
Would you write it down?
No,
for me?
sir. But it took me a year to find it in ancient Sumerian text that
So
explained
you researched it and
that
found that name.
it was one of the original 7 demons listed in the Bible that I had never heard of, and it's not even in the King James version.
Yeah, please don't say that here.
I'm not going to say its name.
Thank you.
It has too much.
Yeah.
And I get
Cold
it.
turkey right there, man.
Okay, Hollywood.
Well,
Hollywood.
I mean, I get it, guys. It's like, okay, yeah, cop out. But, the bottom line
It's
is
not a
this.
cop-out for
This is
any means.
my home. And since I will admit, I do not know everything into how the
Well,
universe
it's not
works.
a cop out if Kevin ain't going to say it, but
Well-
he could write it down for me.
No,
I'll
what
tell
I'm
you
saying
this.
is-
No, because you would say it.
yeah, and the
Can you
thing
give
is,
me the first
I
letter
do
of the
not.
name?
No, I don't want it uttered in
No.
my home. This studio's
I
in
will
my
not.
home. I don't want that to occur.
And I'll just tell you, just from having to fight that son of a bitch personally, since we did that for several years, to where it took a negative toll on me, like you guys have no idea.
I can
I
remember
will
the stories.
never.
I can remember the
mention
stories
its
you
name.
told me. They were fucking. You think that was that?
Oh, I can tell you what it was. I know it's what it was.
And what
it
I
has
mean
shown
by that
itself
is Kevin
multiple times.
experienced it over the course of the next few years. Kevin is a member of my family. He's actually my first cousin. So, as is Thomas. And Travis is my brother-in-law, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're all very close.
Ex-brother-in-law.
Well, you're actually, you're more like my brother.
we kept the better half of that family.
Yes, we did.
So,
Yes, we
okay.
did.
Yeah, I mean, it
So-
was bad enough. I quit cold turkey. I was like, nope, I'm done. I
Yeah,
don't
it was
ever want to see that again.
I don't blame you. I mean,
No.
and I'll be honest.
Nothing close.
To
I'll tell you
this
this,
very day, I will not. And I know it's a movie. I won't watch The Exorcist.
I won't tell you
I will
this.
not watch The Exorcist alone at my home at night.
I'll watch it.
Pussy or not, call it what you will. I watched that movie the first time ever as a kid. When I was like 10 or 12
I will
years old.
tell you this: when you witness the things that we saw and the things that we witnessed,
I wouldn't do it. I
firsthand,
wouldn't be there.
You cannot watch a scary movie ever put on again and watch it with any. You don't get
Well,
any
I-
adrenaline out of
I
it.
can't watch a scary movie anyway because it's nonsense, and
It's
I
all
just find
nonsense.
it to be.
And I'll tell you
crap.
what. There's a big difference between watching a flashlight flicker or watching a flashlight move or roll over and
Watching
seeing
a person be
possession.
possessed.
Thomas, if I had seen
Huge
the
difference.
black entity of dark curtain, whatever,
Right.
I call
Like
it
you
diesel
described
smoke.
it,
I said it's like diesel smoke
if I'd
rolling
seen
up.
the dark shower curtain move toward Kevin,
You would have believed.
I might have changed my opinion on what I have now.
Of course. Yeah.
But I've never in my life seen anything that
Oh,
made me
sure.
question.
I'm glad.
I get that. I get
I'm
that.
glad you
I'm
have
glad
it.
you
Here's
have
my
it
question,
also,
Travis.
man. It was a horrific
If
moment.
you had experienced that, would you at that? Because I know you. Would you at that point set a self study to you got to figure out what the fuck's happening, or would you say I don't want to tamper with that anymore?
Well, I look at it like this: if a bear attacks me in the woods and I know it's coming, and he's at least my size or smaller,
Sure.
I'm going to grab him
Yes.
because my chances are better if I fight back.
Sure.
Unless it's a grizzly bear and he's 800 pounds.
That's right. Then you run.
But I mean, I just don't see myself. I'd have to be put in that situation, but I've never been in that situation.
I get it.
I'll say this from.
I mean, can't you project yourself in a hypothetical situation? Can't you think, okay, if I did see this, I think I would proceed in this manner.
Well, hypothetically, if I sprouted wings on my back, I might be able to fly.
It's
You're
not
not
what I'm
going to. You're
going
not going to get
after.
the answer.
You're not going to get the one. You're
So
looking
anyway,
for.
it was bad.
Yeah.
I quit,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I've been
Yeah.
contacted several times, since then.
Right.
from
By these
different
people?
No, from different people. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Would you
Oh
come
yeah, I'll
out-
still talk to them. I can tell you this.
Would you come out of retirement before you say that? Would you come out of retirement and take me on a ghost hunt?
I would be more than happy to take you on a ghost hunt, but let me preface it by saying this. I'm going to investigate it. I'm going to research the hell out of it before I ever take you anywhere that would
I want something
subject
that's
you
going to convince me.
that would
And-
subject you into what we saw on a demonic level.
and you
I don't
have to
any
obey
problem.
the rules.
You have to
and
obey
do
the
what
rules,
Kevin
Bob.
when
Well, here's my thing.
You have to be quiet.
I don't follow
I know you
rules.
don't. I know
Okay.
you have to be quiet when Kevin
What
says be
I'm
quiet.
talking about is ghost hunt and demonic
they're
shit.
different.
They're
Totally
completely
different.
different.
So, would you go to another demonic?
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I will never subject myself or my family to any turmoil
No.
that could project. And I'm going to tell you, it can destroy you internally with you fighting like hell. And I'm going to tell you, when you fight, by God, you don't understand what fight is until you're
I
fighting
want you to
demons
finish your thought.
I
You
get
said
it.
you were in contact with the people,
all the time.
and
The moment that we got them off of that premises and out of that residency and out of that location,
all of it stopped.
all activity ceased completely, with the exception until about 8 months ago.
And
What the fuck
Bum,
happened?
bum, bum.
David called me and said that that they're having a little bit more activity starting at the new location.
oh, so it's
It-
following.
It's been
like a
it's been 10,
poltergeist.
It's
12
been years.
Yeah.
But the thing is, since both of them are now older, wiser, and have been through it and understand how to emotionally and spiritually deal with it
And not provoke it.
and not provoke it, they've been able to kind of
And their children
silence
are
it.
grown.
The children are grown. They've still got their son living there. I think he's about 15, 16, maybe
He's
17
gotta be
now.
closer to 20, right?
Oh my!
know.
No, not yet. It's
It's been a while.
When did they leave the residence with the white eyes and the Latin?
6 weeks after our last
So
investigation.
relatively soon.
Relatively
after
soon
that.
after that.
Was that the first time that ever occurred to her?
Yes,
Or
to,
anyone?
yes, to that level, yes. I mean, they had their own kind of little encounters and stuff, but they had just slated it off that they were going insane. They literally
Yeah,
thought they
because
were
this
going
was
crazy.
our second time being there. The first
Yeah.
time we didn't really get a lot.
really do anything.
It was
I mean, I get.
Has it happened since?
Not to the level of not
I
the
mean-
demonic level like that.
I mean, I can't imagine anybody if going through that. I wouldn't spend the next night there.
Well,
I mean, I know
Well,
people got to do what they
I was
got
going
to
to
do.
say,
They have,
when
you
you're put
live
into
where you
a,
gotta
when you're
live.
put into a situation and the only roof over your head is the only place you can lay your head at
I
night,
get the practicality of that.
then
I do.
then you're stuck, and that was part of their
Fuck.
hell was
It's-
being stuck in that.
It's East Tennessee. Rent's high as hell, especially if you're making a wage at a local factory. you know?
Sure, yeah, and so I
Fuck
mean,
that.
they were
Fuck
stuck.
that. I mean, you got to have family members or something.
But I mean, man, we went into as much of the research as we could, trying to find out previous owners, what was on the land before it, was there a canal underneath it. I mean, energy can be spurred on by running water
Yeah,
will
but
generate energy.
We're talking ancient fucking demon shit.
The second time's when we found that out.
Okay.
But the first time we didn't really get a lot, but we had some kind of activity stuff to go on. So we were doing everything we could on an analytical level
Right.
to find out what's the topography, or what's the geological makeup of the
What's the
ground.
history?
Is it,
Yeah.
is it granite based? Is it,
Ferrous
is
based.
it quartz?
Right.
Quartz is said to resonate its own frequencies and energies that some people are
Is
susceptible
it an
to.
ancient Indian burial ground?
We ask everything.
Good point. It happened in Amityville.
And you guys realize where we're sitting right here, we're only a quarter mile or half a mile away from 2 Indian burial mounds right now.
I know
Yeah,
that.
I know.
I know that.
So, but
I did not. I thought the
I-
closest ones were.
I
over here
did.
at Travis.
Watch your old cow. But yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You're exactly right.
So
Kevin.
if I have a poltergeist at my house, you want me to come stay with you? Is that what you're saying?
Fuck you and your poltergeist.
I think
We
that's
just
a
talk about
no.
your family
No, I
So-
do not. No. What I'm saying
No.
is, no, I don't do. Scotty don't do demon shit. No.
I just
So-
wouldn't tell you. I'd say, man, I need a place to stay for a little while.
So, in the paranormal stuff like that, after witnessing that stuff, and I'm just going to preface off a little bit, that's where a lot of my other theory was founded. That's where I got my base to realize that,
The world's bigger than you think it is.
we're an arrogant, ignorant species to believe that we know anything.
Kevin?
We understand what's directly in front of our face.
Let me tell you.
But beyond that, we're either too ignorant, too stupid, or too dumb to ask the
Well,
questions
as-
to know.
Yeah, that's really funny. I keep hitting that.
That's-
So, at the end of the last episode, I kind of touched on how we're a whole lot smarter than we act sometimes, and
I think we've just proven we're not.
I did a little research. I don't want you guys to get jealous, but during my research, I discovered I think I'm first generation moron. I'm pretty sure.
Well, let me tell you, the beginning of knowledge is the first person that says, I don't know. So, and I don't, and I mean that. We don't know.
I was raised with the mentality of you have to learn everything you can learn.
And you never stop learning.
And you never stop learning, and there is no topic or no subject ever too
That's
big
taboo.
or too small.
That's right.
I mean, we're never going to figure out the next step of evolution for human evolution, technological evolution, or anything if we don't continue to ask questions.
Yeah, it's
and
called
continue to push
de-evolution.
forward.
We're
well, and
lazy.
see, here's the
There's
thing.
a movie based about us right now.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing
It's
about
called
evolution.
Idiocracy.
Travis well knows that, and again, let me preface this by saying I do not have a theory that's better than evolution, Darwin's evolution. I just don't believe evolution's right.
No, he's not believing. He hadn't believed it for years.
I haven't, and I don't. And let me preface by saying, well, I already said preface, but what I'm saying is,
He doesn't have a better idea. He just don't believe that.
I do not have a better idea. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than Darwin. I really, truly do not think I'm smarter than Darwin. But I don't think that Darwin
he does
was.
think he's smarter than Darwin.
I don't think that Darwin was right. And what I mean by that is, here's my litmus test for evolution. If Darwin was right, as we take him as the definition of the theory of evolution states, why don't we see shit crawling out of the oceans today? Because evolution is a never-ending process. So at some point, things that have been at a certain level of their evolution should be crawling out of the oceans today. We don't see that. We simply don't see that. We see sharks. We see fossils of sharks that are over 350 million years old that look almost like today's sharks.
You can't tell me Megalodon's dead, and they say Megalodon's extinct because we keep finding Megalodon teeth, and we find Megalodon teeth everywhere all the time.
What I'm getting, that's right, Kevin, but what I'm saying is, are you telling me in 350 million years that the shark hasn't needed to evolve a second tail so it could swim faster?
I could explain to you part of that.
All I know
What my
is
theory is, anyways.
I
Sorry.
dated a girl 3 months ago that crawled out of the ocean.
That's all you and your people that you date. That's completely different.
I was just
Anyway,
saying,
and
you
again, I don't want to get off
That's
too
the
big
next
a-
podcast.
You want to
Yeah.
go and do a scientific level on that one, and all I'm going to say, we know now by science and medicine that a virus mutates your DNA.
Sure it does.
That's how viruses, that's what they do.
That's right. They replicate they replicate
so
and they
evolution-
alter then replicate.
Evolution is nothing more than viral mutation over time.
See, but evolution means, look,
You're
agree.
evolving to an area, it's like terraforming.
I agree that evolution is mutation, but
Right.
I think that's all it is. It's mutation. In other words, I think that let's say that there's a very, very tall tree and there's
Well,
weak
that's part
squirrels.
of it.
I understand, but I think that's all there is to it. I think
Well,
that's it.
okay,
I think those that
It's understanding.
Travis,
It's understanding
Well,
and
I'm
putting
saying
a word
that
to
they
define the same
arbitrarily-
thing.
We're way off topic.
we are way
Yeah,
off
that's-
topic.
yes.
And
Gotta go
again,
somewhere
that's
else.
just us guys. That's why we decided to do this, because
How did we get here?
we have
Yeah,
couch
how did we get
discussions
here?
that last for days. I mean,
No,
over every topic you could possibly imagine.
But what I was going to say with the, like, you're talking about all the paranormal. There's people have witnessed things across the span of history that can never be explained.
Sure.
Okay,
Either that or
Everybody
either that
has
or they're
done it.
lying.
Either that or they're lying.
Right.
But when you have cultures on opposite sides of our planet, and I don't care if you go back to the times if you want to think of the theory of Pangea, fine. I don't care.
Pangea is not really a theory.
Yeah.
We know that the Appalachian Mountains are the same
it's
mountain
a theory-
ranges.
It's a theory in the sense that nobody was allowed to verify it existed.
However,
Right.
but the flora and the fauna and fossil records of the Appalachian Mountains exist in the other mountain ranges that
Which I think is funny because the Scottish people that moved to the Appalachian Mountains
are from the
are
Highlands,
from the Highlands,
Which was the
of
same mountain
same
range.
group of mountains that were Pangea.
when the
Very
supercontinent
well.
was Pangea. Exactly.
But you've got
What I'm saying is that's beyond theory.
and you go to the time of movement of Pangea based on the time of archaeological and anthropological studies and stuff that we have found in the last 50, 100 years,
Right.
right? The time frames of like Aztec, Incan, Maya, whatever, okay?
Toltecs.
Any of them, right? Why do you have similarities amongst all of them when those civilizations didn't exist when Pangea did?
I
there's
agree.
absolutely no
I-
way they could have shared
multiple-
knowledge.
There are many, many questions that need to be answered. Like for
Okay.
instance, what's that purse that they're all carrying?
Well,
Yeah, I love the purse.
I love the purse
bag.
too. I mean, you see all these from these multi-continent ancient civilizations, and always there's a figure of import carrying a purse of
I
some
think it's a
sort.
pop bag. I think it's they're carrying their grass.
It might have been a pop bag.
I can nail.
We're kidding, of course, but it was something.
Yeah,
was
there's-
something so important.
There were
that they-
there were 6 supercontinents before Pangea. It was just
Yeah.
the last one.
that's right. Pangea was the last one.
Maybe one of the other 6 explained
And
that.
you know we will be a supercontinent again.
Eventually.
Yes,
Eventually.
exactly right.
But I mean,
And the moon is moving further away.
It absolutely is,
From the
albeit very
From the Earth.
slowly.
Very
It's certainly
slowly.
the moon continues to
And they
get
just-
further away.
they just
Which that's
identified-
just physics.
And they just identified what the Earth's second moon. We have a second moon that we didn't even know existed just a few months ago.
You know, but when Travis drops his pants,
Is that Travis? Is that the girlfriend that crawled out of
he
the
has too
ocean?
much to drink.
And now the fish smell that way.
They told me if I quit eating cheese, the second moon would go away.
Listen,
There's supposed
guys.
to be an asteroid
Okay,
about something,
okay. First,
but-
Wrap it.
Anyways, let's
wrap
wrap
it up with final thoughts. Okay, first off, thank Thomas, thank Kevin, thank Travis,
Thank you.
you guys all for being here, being part of this conversation, and again, it's sharing those fucking quite frightening stories. Actually, very interesting, but quite frightening stories with us and everyone. I mean, I can't wait to hear more. I know how much more you've got to think about all this other stuff that's going on, and I have all these questions too.
I literally, and like I said, I don't understand where a lot of these theories, these thoughts have come from. But since that, it has opened me up to be studying and to look at the bigger picture of existence and life and
Sure.
everything around us and how everything equates to each other. And I've kind of just, it seems like all of our disciplines, all of our scientific disciplines are all so focused on one specific item.
What, the theory of everything?
Well, I mean, you've got CERN looking for they're doing hadron collision, trying to look for the.
Well, they're trying to find the single most elementary particle,
the Higgs
the Higgs boson,
Higgs boson,
which they
particle,
call the God particle.
right?
Which what they found out about the Higgs boson is that that's the particle that actually transport mass. That actually carries the mass.
Right.
of an
So
object.
they're looking for this now, and then you hear stuff where CERN now has warnings, and they have protocols in place, and they have languages of every known language known to man in the collider room on glass sheets that says "Welcome." You can see it.
It's got to be a different topic.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
got
it.
to
I
be.
understand. I'm
Yeah.
saying, but it opened me up to looking at everything as far as energy.
What I think when I hear that
And
is the
everything
word
else.
portal, which is a
And-
totally
of course.
different.
Total different.
Yeah.
Yes,
Totally different podcast.
Absolutely, and it'll be a different podcast, but we can go with that. So
But
yeah.
you guys got to say bye to everybody.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Oh, thank you for being on here, Kevin, and you guys as well as always. And as I said, how the fuck did we get here? That's
Not
what
sure.
we're exploring every day.
We'll have Kevin back to figure that out.
Well, yeah, we will. But thank you guys for joining us. You know, I know it's
Hey, can we give a shout out to someone?
absolutely.
I think our first shout out probably needs. I mean, it was Elena in the Jelly Beans last week.
We
I guess
did.
that was a shout out, but
Sure.
But since then, it's got to be Tony, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Tony.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Tony,
Thank
for
you.
all your efforts, girl.
Thanks for the
we
big push.
appreciate
Our
you.
number one fan.
Number one fan. She's
And
pushing
we
us
promise
everywhere.
you'll get a T-shirt coming your way, girl. And we love you very much.
And maybe I wish we'd had you here tonight. You could have shared some more insights on the stories and the encounters that we had.
She's
But
got them. She's got
she's
the
got them.
insights.
She's got the insights.
But next time, I can't tell you what that next topic's going to be about, but I can tell you one thing. It'll be something we hadn't covered yet, and, buddy, it's going to be fun.
absolutely.
Thank you guys very much for coming, and we'll see you next time. From the crew, from How Do We Get Here?
Peace out.